Chapter 4474. Paltry Tricks. Myriad God bellowed coldly as he punched out as well, striking the mountain. Boom. The mountain exploded, but Wan Shen continued to charge at the elder. He reached out and grabbed at the air, causing a massive stone gate to appear. This was the origin secret technique, the God's Gate. The God's Gate was massive, and Wan Shen grabbed it and smashed it at the elder. Sensing the berserk power of the God's Gate, the elder paled and hurriedly used all his strength to block. He punched out with both fists, condensing a star in the air. Boom. The star collided with the sovereign's gate, causing an earth-shattering explosion. Next, cracks appeared on the star and then it exploded. The elder retreated, spitting out mouthfuls of blood. His face was pale and his eyes were filled with disbelief. He had been injured by Wan Shen in one move. Such strength, yet you're so blindly confident. You're far inferior to the celestial race's god lords. Wan Shen mocked. Indeed, they were both first-level god lords, but this elder's strength was far inferior to the celestial race's god lords. Wan Shen could even suppress a first-level god lord of the celestial race, let alone this elder. It was normal for him to injure him in one move. Bang. Wan Shen grabbed the God's Gate and took a step forward. The earth rumbled, and his aura surged toward the elder like a raging ocean. The elder was nearly frightened to death. He hurriedly yelled, "Wait a moment. It's a misunderstanding, a misunderstanding. It's all a misunderstanding." He was truly frightened to death. Wan Shen's strength had far exceeded his expectations. He finally knew that the rumors were true. A 9th-level God Emperor with 9-star combat strength could contend against the most ordinary first-level God Lord. Although God Lords were powerful, those monsters were even more heaven-defying. He had seen the recording of the competition in Zenith's Supreme Immortal City. Of the 4 people present, Wan Shen was not the strongest. Xian Yanqing and Lu Ming were ranked above Wan Shen. One was first and the other was third. Wasn't this strength even more terrifying? He cursed himself in his heart. He shouldn't have been so greedy and confident to provoke these monsters. Misunderstanding? What misunderstanding? The myriad god sneered. Everything just now was a misunderstanding. I was just testing your strength so that I could make better arrangements when dealing with the heavenly human tribe later. Now, it has proven that your strength is beyond my imagination. So, I can rest assured. The old man was spouting nonsense without batting an eyelid. Don't spout nonsense. The myriad god bellowed and was about to attack. The old man's expression changed drastically. He turned around and ran. However, Lu Ming had unknowingly appeared behind this person and pressed down with his palm. The old man hurriedly raised his fist to block. With a boom, half of the old man's body was trapped in the ground. Indeed, even more perverted. The old man roared in his heart, but his mouth was shouting, spare me, it's really a misunderstanding." He screamed miserably, tears almost falling out of his eyes. As a divine master, it was quite difficult for him to have such acting skills. "Hand over your storage ring and I'll spare your life," Lu Ming said. He was just a first-tier divine master and he wasn't that strong, so he didn't take him seriously. Hand over your storage ring." The old man's expression changed drastically. He was about to cry. "You won't hand it over? Then die." Myriad God shouted. "I'll hand it over." In the end, the old man reluctantly handed over his storage ring to Myriad God. Scram. Myriad God waved his hand. The old man felt as if he had been pardoned. He turned around and ran, wailing in his heart. He was so regretful that he wanted to bang his head against the wall. "Lu Ming, here you go." Myriad God tossed the old man's storage ring to Lu Ming. "I only want the damaged divine weapon. The rest is yours." Lu Ming scanned the ring with his spiritual sense and found 2 damaged divine weapons. However, they were both main-grade divine weapons. Lu Ming put them away and returned the storage ring to Myriad God. Myriad God put it away without hesitation. With their relationship, there was no need for such courtesy. Lu Ming put away the damaged origin-grade divine weapon as well. This broken divine weapon looked like a mirror, made of ancient bronze. However, it was already broken and a hole had appeared in the middle of it. Lu Ming's group of 4 found it hard to remain calm. An origin-grade divine weapon had a hole punched through it. It looked like it had been punched through by a finger. This was truly astonishing. What sort of existence could have such fighting strength? Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Myriad God all possessed origin-grade divine weapons, so they knew just how tough they were. They were completely indestructible. Let alone origin-grade divine weapons, even main-grade divine weapons were extremely powerful. Unless they were struck by an origin-grade divine weapon, they would be very difficult to destroy. Needless to say, someone had punched through them with a finger. I'll eat, I want to eat. Upon seeing the origin-grade divine weapon, Qiuqiu became extremely excited, its round body constantly twisting and turning. Qiuqiu, this is an origin-grade divine weapon. Its spirituality is perfect. Can you really eat it? Lu Ming asked. Origin-grade divine weapons were not to be underestimated. The materials used to forge them were even more extraordinary and contained an astonishing amount of energy. He was afraid that after Qiuqiu ate it, not only would it not be able to digest it, but it would also cause major problems. Direction, I have a feeling that I can even digest an origin-grade divine weapon in perfect condition. Why don't you give me an origin-grade divine weapon in perfect condition? Qiuqiu revealed a row of neat rows of teeth, looking very cunning. Go away, go away. Lu Ming unexpectedly kicked Qiuqiu away, then threw the damaged origin-grade divine weapon to Qiuqiu. As for the two main-grade divine weapons he had obtained from the Divine Lord Realm Elder, Lu Ming did not give them to Qiuqiu. He was really afraid that Qiuqiu would not be able to digest them and die from overeating. Then they continued forward and continued their search. This underground space was truly extraordinary. They concluded that this was the place where the Life Soul Heavenly Court used to bury the damaged divine weapons of the Life Soul Heavenly Court experts. Therefore, a large formation had been set up here, which contained rich divine weapons and metal qi. It was used to nurture the divine weapons. Therefore, even after so many years, the damaged divine weapons here were still as good as new, with their spirituality intact. Next, Lu Ming and the others gained quite a lot. They found another 5 main-grade divine weapons and 1 origin-grade divine weapon. In that case, Lu Ming would have 7 master-level incomplete divine weapons and 1 source-level incomplete divine weapon. Lu Ming put away all the main-grade divine weapons they found. He did not give them to Qiuqiu. One could not become fat in one bite. It was better to take it slowly. After that, they did not gain much because the other big boxes had been found by others before them. I really don't know how many damaged divine weapons there are, especially the origin-grade divine weapons. Lu Ming thought, feeling a little excited, but then he shook his head. It was just a thought. With their strength, they could not eat all the damaged divine weapons. Chapter 4475. After some time, Lu Ming and the others returned to the entrance. The others had also returned. However, Lu Ming discovered that some people were still missing. 6 people were missing. One of them was a first-level divine lord. Everyone looked at each other, knowing what was going on. Those missing people must have been killed by others while fighting over the divine weapon fragment. However, no one said anything. We finished exploring this place. Let's go. Chui said. Everyone nodded and left together, continuing onward. Soon 10 some days had passed. The fog descended once more, shrouding the ancient city in a thick fog. This time, everyone was a lot bolder. This was because they had already left the celestial race. There were no longer any celestial race cultivators in this region. In the fog, the group once more distanced themselves from each other. After the divine weapon fragment, everyone's minds became active once more. If they could find such a treasure ground by themselves and not share it with others, wouldn't that be great? Only Lu Ming's group of 4 and Dark Knight Rose's group did not separate. Instead they moved together. Sure enough, before long something happened. Half a day after the fog had risen, several miserable screams resounded through the region. Everyone was shocked and rushed over to take a look. In the end, they saw a corpse lying on the ground, no longer breathing. A one-hit kill. Just like before, it was a one-hit kill. One of them was a first-level divine lord. Damn it! What's going on? Isn't there no celestial race cultivators in this region? How could someone be killed? Someone roared, on the verge of a mental breakdown. Was it done by one of our own? Someone asked. Everyone's hearts immediately rose to their throats. Their figures flickered as they maintained their distance from the others. Moreover, everyone was looking at the remaining Divine Lord experts, especially the 3 second-level Divine Lords. It really was possible that one of them had done it. There was an extremely high possibility that they had secretly killed others and seized their natal soul origin stone fragments. And the most likely possibility was that the 3 second-level Divine Lords had done it. Only they were capable of killing a first-layer Divine Lord in a single strike when their opponent was caught off guard. It was very difficult for a first-level Divine Master to do so. Everyone, don't fall into their trap. Perhaps this is the celestial race's plan. They want us to be suspicious of each other and panic so that they can take advantage of us. Chui shouted. Heavenly human tribe? Where was the heavenly human tribe? We didn't encounter any heavenly humans along the way. Someone said. But the residual energy in their wounds is clearly the energy of the heavens. How do you explain that? Chui said. Everyone fell silent. That's right, the remnant energy in these people's wounds was indeed the energy of the heavens. This point was undeniable. As for the heavenly energy, only the people of the heavenly human clan were capable of controlling it. The people of the other clans were unable to control it. Could it be that the heavenly human race really did it? He has mastered a terrifying concealment technique and is hiding in the dark to watch us? Someone said. His voice was trembling and filled with fear. Hearing this, the others also felt a chill run down their spines. It was as if there was a pair of eyes staring at them in the dark, causing them to feel a chill down their spines. Could it really be so? Was there a terrifying heavenly human tribe elite watching them from the dark? Or could it be that the murderer was one of them? For a moment, it was difficult for everyone to tell who was real and who was fake. They only felt that there was danger everywhere around them. I think we'd better wait here and wait for the fog to recede. It won't be too late to take action then. A young man said. He and a few of his subordinates sat cross-legged on the spot and did not intend to leave. Now it was safer to stay where they were and keep a distance from the others. At the same time they also looked around. In this way, whether it was the heavenly human tribe or their own people, they could be on guard. I also think that's the best way. Let's wait for the fog to recede before we leave. The others also did the same. They sat where they were and kept a distance from the others. However, the distance was not that far. Once there was a movement, the others could immediately support them. Lu Ming, Anya rose, and the others looked at each other and also sat where they were. The scene suddenly became extremely quiet. In my opinion, the murderer is among us. At that moment, Anya Rose spoke. However, she did not speak to everyone. Instead, she spoke to Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Di Jiani, and the others. Her voice was only heard by the two groups of people. How do you know? Wan Shen's eyes moved and he also sent a voice transmission. Lu Ming has checked before. Lu Ming, you should have found something, right? Anya Rose said. Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon, Wan Shen, Di Jiani, Ling Heng, Yin Jiuling, Xiu Wuji, and the other three young men could not help but look at Lu Ming. That's right. I also think that the murderer is not from the heavenly human tribe. He is among this group of people. Because, although there is residual heaven's power in their wounds, there is also a trace of death qi in the residual heaven's power. Although it is faint, it can be discovered if one observes carefully. Lu Ming said, and he continued to send a voice transmission. Since he suspected that the murderer was among this group of people, he naturally could not let others hear it. Death qi? What does this mean? Wan Shen asked. However, there were a few people whose eyes lit up as though they had thought of something. For example, Xian Yanqing and Di Jiani. Death qi, it means that the owner of heaven's power is dead. However, a dead person would not kill. This time it was Anya Rose who was alive. Then Wan Shen and the others who did not understand initially had their eyes lit up. I know. Someone made use of the dead heavenly human tribe members to kill and steal the vitality stone fragments. Wan Shen said. That's right. Although I don't know what means they used, this is probably the reason. Otherwise, even if they have some hidden means, they wouldn't be able to appear and disappear so stealthily that we did not notice at all. It could only be done by one of our own. The other party's guard was lower and hence they could kill in one blow. The most likely culprits would be the 3 second heaven divine masters. Lu Ming said. What should we do next? Wan Shen asked. Get rid of this person. Otherwise, it will be difficult for us to move about. We have many vitality stone fragments in our hands and will definitely be targeted by this person. Even if we leave now, this person will follow us and secretly ambush us. This time it was Anya Rose who spoke. Get rid of this person? The other party might be a second heaven divine master. To put it bluntly, even if all of us join forces, we might not be able to kill a second heaven divine master expert. Lu Ming said. Under normal circumstances, it would be impossible. However, if we plan carefully and work together with Xian Yanqing and I, it might not be impossible. Anya Rose said. Chapter 4476. You teamed up with Little Qing? Lu Ming was puzzled and so were the others. Of course, Xian Yanqing was the only exception. She and I have a joint attack technique. Once we use it, its power is astonishing. With our current strength, we can even kill a second-tier divine lord. Dark Knight Rose explained. Everyone's hearts trembled. Dark Knight Rose and Xian Yanqing had a joint attack technique that could unleash such astonishing power. In truth, joint attack techniques that could increase one's power were very difficult to cultivate and were very rare. Only after many years of cooperation and telepathy could one unleash the full potential of each person's talent. Only then could it be considered a truly powerful joint attack technique. That kind of cooperation through a formation could not be called a true joint attack technique. It was just a kind of formation. Lu Ming had seen Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan use a joint attack technique. Could Xian Yanqing and Dark Knight Rose use it as well? It was very likely. After all, their relationship in his previous life was similar to his relationship with Qiuqiu. It was just that they had spent much more time together. It was normal for them to be able to use a joint attack technique. Xian Yanqing nodded silently, clearly agreeing with Dark Knight Rose's words. But we don't even know who our opponent is. Even if we have a joint attack technique, we can't use it. How can we lure the murderer out? Myriad God asked. The murderer wants the natal spirit stone fragments. As long as we give the murderer an opportunity to attack, won't he come out? Dark Knight Rose said. You want someone to be the bait, but in the current situation, if you deliberately use them as bait, the murderer will probably be suspicious and won't fall for it easily. Lu Ming said. Everyone was in danger and doubted the people around them. If they did something strange, such as deliberately leaving to be the bait, the murderer would most likely be suspicious. Because in the current situation, it was not normal for one or two people to deliberately leave. Anyone with a brain would suspect that there was something fishy going on. There are two conditions to lure out the culprit. First, the natal spirit stone fragments. Only with enough natal spirit stone fragments will it be attractive enough. Secondly, there needs to be a suitable reason. Therefore we can only rely on Lu Ming and me. Dark Knight Rose smiled. The two of us have enough life spirit primordial stone fragments, but how can we leave without arousing suspicion? Lu Ming said. A handsome man and a beautiful woman, dry wood and blazing fire. Is there a better reason than this to sneak away? Dark Knight Rose said, staring at Lu Ming with her big watery eyes. Lu Ming was speechless. The others were also speechless, especially Autumn Moon and Xian Yanqing. They looked at Dark Knight Rose with hostility. I think we should use other methods. Lu Ming said. Is there a better way? Tell me. Dark Knight Rose said. Lu Ming was silent. To be honest, there was no better reason than this. Using other methods would seem too deliberate and the culprit might not be fooled. But this method, are you afraid that your woman will be jealous? Aha, we're not doing anything. We're just leaving for a while to lure the culprit out. As long as the culprit shows up, we'll immediately send a signal and the others will arrive to suppress the culprit. It's that simple. Why are you hesitating? Are you a man or not? Dark Knight Rose said. Lu Ming was speechless. Lu Ming, I think this plan is feasible. Xian Yanqing suddenly said. Young master, I think so too. Autumn Moon also quickly expressed her opinion, as if she was afraid of falling behind. Lu Ming, your woman has already expressed her opinion. What are you still hesitating for? Are you a man or not? Dark Knight Rose said. He had been repeatedly questioned if he was a man. Lu Ming really wanted to yell, do you want to test it? Of course it was just a thought. What else could Lu Ming say? In the end he naturally agreed. Then, everyone discussed the steps and details of the plan. After ensuring that it was foolproof, they began to act. After waiting for a few hours, Lu Ming and the Dark Knight Rose used the excuse of checking out the surrounding situation to leave and explore the surroundings. After the two of them searched around, they went in a direction and disappeared into the fog. Lu Ming and Dark Knight Rose came to a dilapidated building dozens of miles away. Let's hope that the culprit will come. Lu Ming said, of course using voice transmission. Before he finished speaking, a fragrance wafted over. Dark Knight Rose approached and was almost leaning against him. What are you doing? Lu Ming asked subconsciously. A handsome man and a beautiful woman. If you want to act, you naturally have to act more realistically. Otherwise, how will the other party believe you? Dark Knight Rose said in Lu Ming's ear. Her warm breath blew into Lu Ming's ear. As soon as she finished speaking, Dark Knight Rose fell into Lu Ming's arms. Lu Ming suddenly felt a little uneasy. Dark Knight Rose's seduction was not just for show. It was top-notch in the universe. Don't go too far. Don't go too far. It's enough, Lu Ming said. His voice was a little hoarse. It seems that I misunderstood you before. Now it proves that you are really a man, Dark Knight Rose said. Lu Ming was speechless. Coming. Suddenly, Dark Knight Rose said two words in Lu Ming's ear. Her body flashed and she quickly retreated. At the same time, she waved her hand and the petals of the sky-devouring rose flew out. Lu Ming's reaction was also very fast. He immediately withdrew from his uneasy state and flicked his fingers. Rays of spear light burst out and flew into the surrounding fog. Dang dang dang, a series of explosions sounded. Lu Ming and Dark Knight Rose's attacks were directly defeated. Then, several terrifying rays of sword light slashed toward the two of them. It was too fast and its power was astonishing. Second-level Divine Master. As soon as they exchanged blows, the two of them could tell that the person attacking them was definitely a second-level Divine Master expert. The two of them had attacked hastily, so it was normal that they could not block it. However, the two of them had been in a state of alert, ready to attack at any time, so their reaction was also very fast. With a thought, their killing weapons appeared. Lu Ming held the obsidian staff and poured forbidden energy into it. The obsidian staff quickly enlarged and swept out, colliding with a ray of sword light. With a clang, the obsidian staff vibrated, and Lu Ming's figure retreated. On the other side, Dark Knight Rose activated her saber and also retreated after exchanging a blow with the other party. However, the two of them had caused a huge commotion and alarmed the others. Something's happening. Let's go take a look. Those experts rushed toward Lu Ming's side. They covered the distance of several dozen miles in an instant. As for the expert in the dark, when he saw that he could not kill Lu Ming and Dark Knight Rose in a few moves, he wanted to retreat. However, Lu Ming's side was already prepared. Bam! Lu Ming took a step forward and brilliant rays of light erupted from the ground. Dozens of ancient mystic skills were unleashed. Great sealing art, great binding art. Chapter 4477. Dozens of secret techniques, all of which were secret techniques for trapping the enemy, shot toward the being in the fog. At the same time, Anya Rose took action. In the air there was a huge sky-devouring rose. In the middle of the flower, there was a black hole that spun continuously and exploded with terrifying devouring power. The devouring power was continuously devouring the being in the fog. The purpose of double bind was to slow down the speed of the other party. However, the other party was really strong. With a roar, sword chi burst out and broke through Lu Ming's ancient secret skill. He broke through the devouring power of the sky-devouring rose and wanted to leave. However, he was still held back for a while. At that moment, there were suddenly attacks coming from the direction where the other party was escaping. A pitch-black iron rod, a rusty iron sword, and a black lotus. It was Xian Yanqing, Wan Xin, Di Jianyi and the rest who had taken action. They were prepared. When they heard that Lu Ming, Anya Rose, and the other party were exchanging blows, they did not hesitate and rushed towards Lu Ming and the rest. They were faster than the rest. However, they did not appear immediately. Instead, they changed their position in the fog and appeared in the direction where the other party might have retreated. At the crucial moment, they launched an attack. Xian Yanqing, Wan Shen, Autumn Moon, Di Jianyi, Ling Heng, Yin Jiuling, Xiu Wuji and the other three supreme talents. A total of 10 young experts joined forces and the power was shocking. They successfully blocked the other party's sword light and stopped him from retreating. Chui, it's you. At that moment, Lu Ming and Anya Rose were close to the other party and they saw the other party's face. The person was Chu Yi, one of the 3 experts in the second level of the Divine Master realm. Little brat, it was you guys who set this up. I'm going to kill you. Chu Yi bellowed. He controlled his voice well and only Lu Ming and the rest could hear him. However, the fog was tumbling and more people had arrived. They were the other experts. These people saw Chu Yi and Lu Ming and the rest. Everyone, Chu Yi is the one who secretly killed and stole the natal spirit stones. Let's work together and kill him. Lu Ming shouted. It's him. As expected, the murderer is among us. Damn it, kill him. The others were enraged when they heard this. Everyone, don't listen to this little bastard's nonsense. He's slandering us. Actually, the culprits are in cahoots with them. Chu Yi shouted, wanting to bite back. Our group is ridiculous. The strongest cultivator in our group is of the 9th Great Supreme God layer. How could he kill a cultivator of the 1st Divine Master layer in one strike? Lu Ming retorted with a sneer. That's hard to say. Everyone knows that you're all peerless geniuses with powerful combat strength. Furthermore, you might be hiding some special techniques. Furthermore, it's precisely because your cultivation is low that others won't guard against you. It's not impossible for them to be killed by you in a single strike. Chu Yi continued to quibble. It had to be said that this old man's ability to quibble was quite impressive. However, Lu Ming was also an expert in this aspect. He had never been afraid of anyone in this aspect. It's useless to say so much. Why don't you open up your storage rings and see of consciousness and let everyone check? Won't we know who has the fragments of the natal soul primordial stones of those killed? Oh, and the storage rings of those killed seem to have been taken away as well. We can check them all together. Lu Ming said. This is a good suggestion. We'll know who the murderer is once we check. Another expert of the second Divine Master layer said. I object. Storage rings and sea of consciousness are a cultivator's greatest secrets. How can we let others check them? Chu-Yi said coldly. What? Feeling guilty? Lu Ming countered. The others also looked at Chu-Yi with unfriendly eyes. What guilty? I object to this suggestion. Since none of you believe me, I'll just leave. Chu-Yi said coldly and turned to leave. You still want to leave? You still want to hide in the dark and wait for an opportunity to kill us and steal the fragments of the natal soul primordial stones? Everyone, don't let him leave or else we'll all be in danger. Lu Ming bellowed. As expected, the others paled, and their bodies flickered as they surrounded Chu-Yi. Lu Ming is right. If we don't make things clear today, no one can leave. Today we must get to the bottom of this. The crowd shouted. The person who had attacked them in the dark was too dangerous. If it really was Chu-Yi, they would be in constant danger if they let him go. Thus, even if there was something suspicious about Chu-Yi, they could not let him leave. Moreover, Chu-Yi was currently the most suspicious. Compared to Lu Ming's group, the crowd was more convinced that Chu-Yi was the murderer. After all, he was a genuine second-level Divine Master. Ah ha ha. At this moment, Chu-Yi suddenly laughed loudly. His laughter was somewhat sinister. I originally wanted to deal with all of you one by one, but since all of you insist on seeking death, I'll deal with all of you together. Chu-Yi's cold voice echoed through the air. Chu-Yi, it really was you. Damn it. Chu-Yi, you've got some nerve. If you commit suicide now, we'll leave your corpse intact. The crowd roared, unable to restrain their anger. It turned out that the murderer really was Chu-Yi. The crowd stared at Chu-Yi with murderous intent. Commit suicide? Ha ha, how laughable. Did you think that you could deal with me with just a few of you? Let me tell you, from start to finish, I have never used my full strength. Now let me show you my true fighting strength. Chu-Yi laughed, his aura growing stronger and stronger. Although he had not reached the third level of the Divine Master realm, he was still a peak second-level Divine Master. At the same time, a terrifying sword light shot out of Chu-Yi's body. All of you will die. Kill. Chu-Yi roared as his sword light trembled. Immediately, dense sword chi swept out in all directions, enveloping everyone with frightening power. Careful. All of you retreat. The remaining Divine Master realm experts shouted and stepped forward. They used their secret techniques to protect the people below the Divine Master realm. At the same time, Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and the others also launched their own attacks, clashing with the sword chi. Boom. Boom. There was a violent explosion. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Anya rose, and the rest trembled violently and could not help but retreat. Those with weaker fighting strength, such as Qiu Qiumun and Yin Jiuling, vomited several mouthfuls of blood. In another direction, of the 4 Divine Masters, 2 were first-level Divine Masters, and they screamed as they retreated. Several terrifying wounds had appeared on their bodies, blood gushing out from them. The 2 second-level Divine Masters fared better, but they were also forced back. Chu-Yi, your fighting strength, how is this possible? A second-level Divine Master roared. End of this chapter. Chapter 4478. Chu-Yi's fighting strength had exceeded everyone's expectations. Although Chu-Yi's fighting strength had been very strong, it had only been a little stronger than the other 2 second-level God Lords. But in the clash just now, Chu-Yi's fighting strength was not just a little stronger than the other 2 second-level God Lords, it was a whole level higher. Even when so many people worked together, he had still managed to suppress them. Why do you think I was able to obtain the acknowledgement of the Life Soul Origin Stone fragment? This is because when I was young, I was also a peerless genius. If I hadn't encountered a great disaster that slowed down my cultivation, my current cultivation would have been far more than second-tier Divine Lord. I would have long since become a high-level Divine Lord. You people think that you can kill me? Today I will eliminate all of you. Chu-Yi roared, his face turning even more savage, and the sword light on his body grew even stronger. Clang. With the clanging of swords, Chu-Yi's body flickered as he swung his sword, unleashing one sword light after another. All of you fall back. A second-level God Lord shouted, ordering those below the God Lord level to fall back. He erupted with all his strength, taking out a golden pagoda and thrusting it forward. The other 3 God Lord experts also went all out, using their ultimate moves. Lu Ming and the rest also constantly activated their powerful killing weapons and charged toward Chu-Yi. As they attacked, Lu Ming shielded Qiu Yu behind him. Amongst the four of them, Qiuyu was the weakest, so Lu Ming could not let Qiuyu take the risk. In this clash, Lu Ming and the others were still no match. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Wan Shen, Dark Knight Rose, and the others all retreated, their bodies covered in sword wounds from which blood seeped out. They had been injured by sword qi. They still had their source-level divine weapons to block, so their situation was somewhat better, but the God Lords were in dire straits. This was especially true for the two first-level God Lords. One of them was heavily injured, his body in tatters. As for the other, he had his forehead pierced by sword light and died on the spot. Kill, all of you must die, especially you," Chui shouted, his cold gaze fixed on Lu Ming and the others, especially the source-grade divine weapons in Lu Ming's hands. Greed flashed in his eyes as he said, "After I kill you, your source-grade divine weapons will all be mine, ha." Chui laughed and the sword light moved. "Today the one who will die will be you." At this moment a cold voice sounded. It was Dark Knight Rose. Dark Knight Rose had appeared behind Chui at some point. "Kill." As for Xian Yanqing, he stood in front of Chui and shouted. His hands formed a seal, and his body emitted a shocking demonic aura. At the same time, Dark Knight Rose was also wrapped in a mysterious energy, which resonated with Xian Yanqing's devil qi. Devil Devour. Xian Yanqing and Dark Knight Rose shouted at the same time and pushed their hands forward. Whoosh, whoosh. The heavens and earth roared and energy surged. Then a black lotus appeared under Chuyi's feet. The huge black lotus emitted a dense demonic light, and a huge flower appeared above Chuyi's head. It was the sky-devouring rose. The two flowers, one above and one below, connected with each other in multicolored light, producing a terrifying energy that instantly enveloped Chuyi. This energy was like a field that was terrifying and could destroy everything. Chuyi's body shook violently, and the divine power protecting his body shook violently. It was like ice meeting fire and it melted quickly. Not only that, but Chuyi's body, skin and flesh were also melting. In an instant, Chuyi's appearance became unbearable to look at. "Ah!" Chuyi shouted, and his divine power surged in all directions. He wanted to break through the field around him, and break through Xian Yanqing and Dark Knight Rose's joint attack. However, the divine power he unleashed was also melted by this field. "Break! Break! Break!" Chuyi roared, and a frenzied sword intent surged out of his body, transforming into sharp sword light that slashed at the sky-devouring rose. Brum! The sword light clashed with the field, creating terrifying sounds of friction and explosions. Xian Yanqing and Dark Knight Rose began to tremble. "What are you standing around for? Hurry up and kill him. We can't hold on much longer." Dark Knight Rose roared. Chuyi's divine power was far above her expectations. Given her and Xian Yanqing's current cultivation, they could kill an ordinary second-level divine lord if they used a joint attack. If the other two second-layer divine masters got caught in their joint attack, they would definitely die. They would be turned into ashes by the terrifying field energy. However, Chuyi was much stronger than an ordinary second-level divine lord. The two of them could only trap him for a moment, but they couldn't kill him. Attack! Lu Ming roared, activating the mysterious ice staff with all his strength to attack Chuyi. Myriad God, Emperor Jianghu, and the others also attacked Chuyi with all their strength. The two second-level God Lord experts seemed to have woken up from a dream and used their strongest moves to attack Chuyi. At this moment, Chuyi was trapped and had to use all his strength to resist the terrifying field energy. There was no way he could block their attacks, but if they hit him, they would definitely be able to kill him. "You want to kill me? Dream on. Doppelganger, come out." Chuyi roared, and two figures suddenly charged out of his body. One of the figures was a skeleton that was as white as jade and carried 5 bone swords on its back. White Bone waved its hand, and the 5 bone swords flew out, rapidly growing in size as they charged at Lu Ming's group. The other figure had a head of golden hair. It was a large man from the celestial race. He held a golden sword in his hand and sent out several sword lights at the two second-level God Lord experts. Boom! Clang! 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 The attacks of Lu Ming's group were blocked by the two figures. These bone swords, the one who attacked us earlier was him. The eyes of Lu Ming, Myriad God, and the others flashed. Before encountering Anya Rose's group, Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon, and Myriad God had been ambushed. The attacker had used a white bone claw and a bone sword to attack them. Now it seemed like it was Chuyi's doing. This skeleton's attack was exactly the same as the one that had ambushed them. In addition, Emperor Jianghu and the others had gloomy expressions because they had also been ambushed by this skeleton. And that celestial race. Everyone's gaze turned toward the large man from the celestial race. The large man from the celestial race had his eyes closed, and there was no sign of life on his body. He was clearly a corpse. These were all Chu Yi's doppelganger puppets. The wounds of the people who had been ambushed had traces of heaven's power. It was obvious that Chu Yi had controlled the doppelganger puppets to attack. That was why there were traces of heaven's power in their wounds. He had used this method to bluff his way out and push all the blame to the celestial race. However, this celestial race member was dead, so there was a trace of death chi in his heaven's power. Lu Ming and Anya Rose had detected it. This was something that Chu Yi had not expected. Chapter 4479. It was precisely because Lu Ming and Dark Knight Rose had realized that the celestial race wasn't responsible that they had set up this trap and drawn out Chu Yi. Upon seeing the corpse of the celestial race expert, there was no need for explanation. Everyone understood. Kill? Kill. Lu Ming's group launched a second attack. However, this attack was blocked by Chu Yi's two doppelganger puppets. Although the two doppelganger puppets were injured, Lu Ming and the rest did not manage to break through their defenses for the time being. Chu Yi struggled with all his strength, causing Xian Yanqing and Dark Knight Rose to tremble even more. If this continued, they really wouldn't be able to hold on. Once I come out, it'll be the time of your deaths. Chu Yi roared, his face savage. Dark Knight Rose, Little Qing, use your origin energy to launch your strongest attack. Lu Ming messaged Dark Knight Rose and Xian Yanqing. The two replied, preparing to use their trump cards. Seniors, if we don't go all out now, when will we? Lu Ming roared at the two second-level God Lords. These two second-level God Lords were very important, as they were the main offensive force. Without them holding down Chu Yi, they were even less of a match. The two of them hesitated for a moment before nodding, decisive looks on their faces. Boom. Boom. The two second-level God Lords exploded with powerful energy. This was divine power burning. The two of them were truly putting their lives on the line. At the same time, Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Dark Knight Rose began to mobilize their origin energy. Dark Knight Rose had been at the same level as Xian Yanqing, a second-level God Lord. Thus, the origin energy she controlled was not any weaker than Xian Yanqing's, so she could also use an attack. Devil Devour. Xian Yanqing and Dark Knight Rose roared as they used their origin energy in this joint attack. With the addition of the origin energy, the power of the joint attack technique increased a little. That terrifying field energy was even stronger. Chu Yi's body trembled, and the sword energy he had unleashed trembled and almost collapsed. Kill. Kill. Lu Ming and the others launched another attack. This time, the two second-layer Divine Master experts burned their divine power and went all out to launch their strongest attacks. The power was astonishing, and Chu Yi had no choice but to divert even more of his energy to control the celestial race doppelganger puppet to resist the two second-layer Divine Master experts. In that case, the strength of the other skeleton would be slightly weaker. Boom. The attacks of the two second-level God Lords clashed with the avatar of the celestial race. After a few loud booms, the heavenly human tribe's doppelganger puppet was sent flying. However, the attacks of the two second-level Divine Lords were also blocked. Following that, Lu Ming, Wan Xin, and the others' attacks also collided with the puppet. It was like metal clashing against metal, and energy rippled out in all directions. The attacks of Lu Ming and the others also froze. Lu Ming's mysterious ice rod, Wan Xin's black iron rod and Emperor Jinny's rusty battle sword were all blocked by Skeleton's bone sword. Haha, you still want to kill me? Seeing the attacks of Lu Ming and the others being blocked, Chu Yi laughed arrogantly. The desperate attacks of Lu Ming and the others had been blocked by Skeleton. Let's see what else they can use to fight him. At this moment, Origin. Lu Ming inwardly roared. The Origin seed trembled, and the Origin energy within it flowed along his arm and into the mysterious ice rod. The mysterious ice rod was an Origin-level divine weapon, and the addition of the Origin energy was like adding oil to a fire, causing it to explode. Boom. The mysterious ice rod violently shuddered, and a powerful energy erupted from it and struck the bone sword. Kacha. The bone sword shattered, and the mysterious ice rod smashed into Skeleton's body. With a bang, Skeleton's body exploded. The mysterious ice rod did not stop and continued to bombard Chu Yi. Chu Yi's eyes widened in disbelief. He roared, "Damn it! How is this possible? This is the power of Origin." He was really shocked, and he also knew that he had underestimated Lu Ming's strength. Lu Ming had been hiding his trump card before. Damn it. At the same time, he wanted to use his strength to resist, But how could Xian Yinqing and Dark Knight Rose let him do as he wished? They tried their best to operate the joint attack technique to suppress Chu Yi. Chu Yi was just about to divert some of his strength to resist Lu Ming's attack, but that terrifying field energy took advantage of it. Chu Yi's body quickly melted, and he was so scared that he hurriedly circulated his strength to resist. However, the mysterious ice rod did not stop, and directly smashed down. Boom! The mysterious ice rod solidly smashed onto Chu Yi's body. Chu Yi let out a blood-curdling scream as his body flew out like a meteor and smashed into the ground, creating a large crater. But he did not stop, his body continued to slide backwards, creating a deep ditch on the ground. He kept sliding backward for tens of thousands of meters before stopping. All the bones and muscles in his body had been completely shattered. They were in tatters and it was unbearable to look at. His head had almost exploded, and cracks had appeared on the universe bridge in his sea of consciousness. With such serious injuries, Chu Yi could no longer fight. This Chu Yi was really strong. When he was young, he was definitely a top genius who could crush people of the same level. Even the heavenly human tribe people of the same level could not compare to him. The second-level divine master heavenly human tribe that Lu Ming had met before definitely did not have such strength. Just like he had said, if it were not for the problem, his cultivation would be much higher than this. Speaking of which, the Life Spirit Essence Stone Fragment was not something that only outstanding talents would recognize. But in the end, Chu Yi was still defeated by Lu Ming and the others. Chu Yi lay in the large pit, spitting out blood, and his eyes were full of unwillingness and despair. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Everyone's figures flashed and they surrounded Chu Yi. Chu Yi, you are doomed to death for your sins. Today we will kill you. A second-level divine master elder said coldly, and his killing intent was thick. If you kill me, how will you divide the Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments in my body? The Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments are in the storage ring on my finger. Chu Yi roared. These words caused the second-level divine master expert's expressions to change, and their eyes flickered. Yes, after killing Chu Yi, how would they divide the Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments in his body? You still want to sow discord at this time? Everyone, we can discuss the Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments after we kill Chu Yi. But now we can't fall into his trap. Lu Ming said. The two second-level divine master experts were shocked and came back to their senses. They thought to themselves that they had almost fallen into Chu Yi's trap. If they had fought out of greed, it would only have benefited Chu Yi. If Chu Yi escaped, the consequences would be unimaginable. This little bastard, Chu Yi roared in his heart, wishing that he could cut Lu Ming into pieces. A second-level divine master elder stepped forward, about to attack. Everyone, wait a moment. I have a huge secret, Chu Yi roared. Chapter 4480. Chu Yi roared, causing the second-level divine master to stop in his tracks. Speak, what secret? The second-level divine master coldly demanded. It's the secret of the heavenly court. As long as you don't kill me, I'll tell you, Chu Yi said. You still want to use this method to survive? Ridiculous. Besides, who knows if the secret you're talking about is true? Lu Ming sneered and said to the others, everyone, I still think it's better to kill this person. Don't fall into his trap. Once you let him go, there will be endless trouble in the future. Damn it, damn little bastard. Chu Yi roared in his heart. His little scheme had been seen through by Lu Ming time and time again. He really hated Lu Ming to the bone. But there was nothing he could do. Hearing Lu Ming's words, the others revealed killing intent. He could only roar again, I'm telling the truth, absolutely true. It's the secret of the heavenly court. You know about the 3 supreme treasures of the heavenly court, right? I know where one of them is hidden. What? Upon hearing this, not only the others but even Lu Ming, Xian Yinqing, Anya Rose, and the others were shocked. The life spirit was the ultimate treasure of the celestial court. This phrase was too tempting. Chu Yi actually knew where one of the supreme treasures of the heavenly court was hidden? Nonsense. Who knows if you're telling the truth or not? This time, it was the second-level divine master who spoke. I can swear on my life origin that it's absolutely true. Also, I have a map of the heavenly court marked with the specific location of the treasure. It's hidden in my sea of consciousness. As long as you promise to spare my life, I can give it to you. Otherwise, I'll just destroy my sea of consciousness. That map is fragile and can be easily destroyed by me. Chu Yi said. Map. Chu Yi, it's often foggy here, making it difficult to tell directions. We can't even find the right direction. You have a map? This lie is too low level. Lu Ming sneered. The others' faces also darkened. Indeed, this lie was too low level. The Life Spirit Heavenly Court was too big, and fog would appear every once in a while. It was like a maze. It was a joke that Chui would have a map. You all have just entered, so it's naturally difficult for you to determine the direction. However, I have already been here for 300,000 years. How could I not know? I am extremely familiar with this place. Even in the fog, I will be able to find the right path. Chui said. What? You've been here for 300,000 years? This time Lu Ming and the others were really shocked. Originally they thought that Chui came in with them. They really did not expect that Chui had already come in. Yes, when I was young, I had a great battle and damaged my foundation, causing my cultivation to progress extremely slowly. I was unwilling to give up, so I spent my whole life studying the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. The purpose was to find treasures to achieve a transformation and restore my potential and talent. Finally, 300,000 years ago, I found a clue and entered the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. Unfortunately, the ancient land of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court cannot be entered by a fragment of the Life Spirit Primordial Stone. Only by gathering many fragments of the Life Spirit Meteorite can one enter, especially the place that contains the treasures of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. Many fragments of the Life Spirit Primordial Stone are needed. Although I came in early, it was useless. I could only waste time. It wasn't until 3,000 years ago that the heavenly human tribe entered that I became cautious. I hid in the dark and waited for an opportunity to kill a few of them. After that, I waited until now. When you people entered, I knew that my opportunity had come. At this point, Chui stopped and did not continue, but everyone knew what he was going to say next. It was nothing more than pretending to be a newcomer like them. He would blend in with the crowd, secretly attack, seize the fragments of the Life Spirit Primordial Stone, and then go alone to obtain the treasures of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. Chuyi's words were indeed self-justifying. But everyone was still skeptical. If you don't believe me, I can swear with my life origin. Immediately, Chui swore with the origin of life that what he had just said was true. Seeing Chui swear with his life origin, everyone had to believe him. Unless Chui did not want to live anymore. But even if he did not want to live, there was no need to use such a method. Now, as long as you swear with your life origin that after I tell you the details of the location, you will spare my life, and I will tell you. I will also give you the map and the fragments of the Life Spirit Primordial Stone that I have. Chui said. Okay, I promise you. Everyone, what do you think? A second-layer Divine Master Old Man answered, looking at Lu Ming and the others. Obviously he was tempted. In fact, he was not the only one. Lu Ming and the others were also tempted. That was the supreme treasure of the Heavenly Court. In the universe, it was a top treasure, even more precious than the 18 divine weapons. Who would not be tempted? I also agree. Anya Rose said. Needless to say, she was also tempted. I agree. In the end, Lu Ming nodded. Chui was overjoyed to see everyone agree. Then, Lu Ming and the others all swore with their life origin that they would spare Chuyi's life as long as he handed over the Life Spirit Primordial Stone and the map. Good. Chui was overjoyed, but a savage killing intent flashed in the depths of his eyes. He roared in his heart. As long as he survived this time, he would madly seek revenge after his injuries had healed. He had been here for 300,000 years and could not be more familiar with this place. He could come and go freely in the fog. When the time came, he would take advantage of his familiarity with the terrain to hunt down all these people. Especially Lu Ming, Anya Rose, and the others. He would madly seek revenge and make them regret their actions. Now, hand over the map and the Life Spirit Primordial Stone fragment. A second-level God Lord Elder barked. Okay, I'll give it to you. Chui said as his forehead shone, and a jade token flew out. The jade token was about the size of a palm, and one could see that the jade token was covered in fine carvings. The old man at the second-level Divine Master realm hurriedly grabbed the jade tablet. Everyone's eyes flashed, but they said nothing. The second-level God Lord Elder then poured his divine power into the jade token. The jade token shone and a map appeared in the air. The map was very detailed, and there was a red dot on it that represented their current location. In addition, there was a yellow dot some distance away. That yellow dot is where the supreme treasure of the Heavenly Court is hidden. Chui explained. Everyone's eyes burned with fervent light. It seemed like everything Chui had said was true. As long as they followed the map, they would not get lost even in the fog. It wouldn't be long before they arrived at the location of the treasure. End of this chapter. Chapter 4481. Also, the Life Soul Origin Stone is in the storage ring on my finger. I'm injured and can't touch it, so you can take it, Chui said. Immediately many people's eyes lit up. Bang, bang. Several people stepped forward, wanting to take Chuyi's storage ring, but they were all obstructed by each other's energies. Their energies erupted and clashed in the air, none of them willing to back down. The two second-tier God Lord experts in particular were exuding an intense fighting spirit as their energies clashed. Everyone, there are so many of us here that no one can take the Life Soul Origin Stone fragments for themselves. I suggest that we divide them equally. Once we reach the treasury of the supreme treasure of the Heavenly Court, we can take out the Life Soul Origin Stone fragments together and open the treasury. What do you think? Anya Rose suggested. The eyes of the two second-tier God Lord experts flashed. If an ordinary God Emperor dared to speak to them like this, dared to suggest splitting the fragments equally, they would have long since slapped him to death. A God Emperor dared to dream of being on equal footing with a God Lord? However, Anya Rose, Lu Ming, and the others were truly too terrifying and could not be judged by common sense. When they had surrounded Chu Yi, Xian Yanqing and the Dark Knight Rose had used a joint attack. It was so powerful that even they were terrified. They were afraid that if they were trapped, only death awaited them. And Lu Ming's strength was also unimaginable. Earlier, when they were dealing with Chu Yi, Lu Ming had defeated him with a surprise move, breaking through Chu Yi's defenses and capturing him. They were all monstrous geniuses. Although they were divine masters, they had no choice but to suppress their pride in front of these monstrous geniuses. Okay, then we'll listen to Miss Rose. The second-tier God Lord Elder smiled. The other second-tier God Lord expert also had no objections. Since the strongest experts of each group had no objections, the others had no objections either, nor did they dare to. A hint of disappointment appeared in Chu Yi's eyes. He had been hoping that Lu Ming and the others would fight over the Life Soul Origin Stone fragments, but he hadn't expected it to end so easily. Several people worked together to take the storage ring from Chu Yi's hand. After opening it, they found several Life Soul Origin Stone fragments. A total of 5 pieces. The forces represented by the 2 second-stage Divine Masters each got a piece of land. Lu Ming got one while Dark Knight Rose got the other. The 5th piece was given to the last first-stage Divine Master. Everyone, I've given you first place in the Life Spirit Vitality Stone fragment. Can I leave now? Chui said. The Divine Lord Realm existences all showed a hint of unwillingness. They really didn't want to let Chui go because if Chui left, it would be very dangerous. However, for the sake of the Heavenly Court's most precious treasure, they had no choice but to swear on their life essence. They had no choice but to let it go now. Let you go? You're too naive. After we let you go, are we going to wait for you to take revenge on us? Lu Ming sneered. He clenched his fist and a long spear condensed in his hand. What? The Divine Lord Realm experts and Chu Yi were all stunned, looking at Lu Ming in shock. Could it be that Lu Ming wanted to break his oath and kill Chu Yi? Chu Yi reacted very quickly. He cried out, Lu Ming, what are you doing? Don't forget that you swore on your life essence that you can't kill me. If you kill me, you'll face a calamity and die. Do you want to die with me? Perish together with you? Ah, you're not worthy. Don't you know that reciprocity existences don't fear oaths on life essence? Lu Ming sneered. Cold killing intent erupted from his body, so dense that it seemed to be tangible. Those are reciprocity existences who control origin energy. You're just a God Emperor, Chui roared. However, his voice stopped abruptly. His eyes widened and a look of horror appeared in his eyes. Origin energy. The reason why reciprocity experts did not fear oaths on life essence was because of origin energy. However, Lu Ming had also mastered the power of origin. Earlier, Lu Ming had only managed to break through Chu Yi's defenses by erupting with origin energy. However, Chu Yi was in a hurry to save his life, so he did not think of this. Who would have thought that the other party would be able to use source energy to go against the life source oath when facing some God Emperors? Subconsciously they ignored it. But it was too late to think of it now. No, don't kill me. You can't break your oath, Chu Yi cried out in horror. He did not want to die. He had already found the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. As long as he killed Lu Ming and the others and obtained enough Life Spirit Origin Stone fragments, he might have a chance to recover his talent and potential and reach a higher realm. Therefore he struggled frantically. Unfortunately, his injuries were very serious. Even if he had recovered a little, he could only barely move his body. Chui, go well, Lu Ming said coldly as he stabbed out with his spear. The spear directly pierced through Chu Yi's forehead, killing him there. Chu Yi's eyes widened. He was unwilling to accept this. Good. The others shouted in their hearts. They did not dare to kill Chui. Lu Ming had killed him. If they let Chui go, they would not be able to sleep and eat in peace. As for whether Lu Ming could really resist the backlash of the oath on life essence, they were too lazy to care. It would be best if Lu Ming died from the backlash. Young master, is it really okay for you to kill him like this? Qiu Yu hurriedly asked, her small face full of nervousness and worry. Lu Ming, can your origin energy withstand it? Xian Yinqing also asked, also a little worried. She also used origin energy, but the amount was very small. She felt that she could not withstand the backlash of the oath on life essence. She was a little worried about whether Lu Ming could withstand it. Don't worry, the backlash of the oath on life essence will not happen now. It will happen later in the cultivation. I am confident that I can withstand it, Lu Ming said with a smile. The amount of origin energy he controlled was not small. Although it was definitely not comparable to the existence of the origin realm, it should be able to withstand the backlash of the oath on life essence. Moreover, he had a forbidden body and controlled forbidden energy. Fei Huang once told him that forbidden energy also had a strong effect in resisting the backlash of the oath on life essence. With the combination of the two, Lu Ming was confident. Otherwise he would not take the risk so easily. Everyone, let's go, Lu Ming said. Then everyone set off. According to the map left by Chu Yi, they headed in the direction of the treasure of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. With the map, their speed was very fast. At the same time, they did not encounter any more attacks. However, according to the map, the treasure was not far from them. In fact, it was a long way away. They were in the south of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court, and the treasure was in the north. They had to cross almost half of the ancient city of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. Along the way, everyone had their own thoughts. They were all thinking about a problem. How would they divide the treasure after obtaining it? Chapter 4482. There was only one treasure, so how could they split it? There were 7 or 8 groups of people here, and all of them wanted the treasure. Who should the treasure go to? Everyone's eyes flashed, each with their own thoughts. The 2 second-level divine lords even had killing intent in their eyes, but they quickly hid it. They really wanted to kill everyone else and take the treasure for themselves. However, when they thought about the strength of Lu Ming's group, they were extremely afraid. They didn't want to be killed by Lu Ming's group before they could kill Lu Ming's group. In truth, they weren't the only ones with such thoughts. Lu Ming, Dark Knight Rose, and the others also had such thoughts. They also wanted to kill everyone here. However, the other side had 2 second-level divine lords and 1 first-level divine lord. They wouldn't be so easy to deal with. As long as Xian Yinqing and the Dark Knight Rose's combined attack enveloped a second-layer divine master, only death would await them. However, there was still a second-level divine lord. Even if he recovered his origin energy and used all his strength, he still wouldn't be able to keep them here. If a few of them managed to escape with the Life Soul Origin Stone fragments, they wouldn't be able to gather enough Life Soul Origin Stone fragments. Even if they reached the treasury, it would be useless. Moreover, the other side was very wary of them. It wouldn't be easy to suddenly attack and kill one of them. In addition, they were only cooperating with Dark Knight Rose and weren't on the same side. Thus they didn't attack. Everyone had their own misgivings and were wary of each other as they headed toward their destination. However, Lu Ming's group didn't know that their destination had long since been occupied by someone else, the celestial race. On the empty ground, there were many tall bronze statues. These bronze statues all looked like warriors. They were clad in armor and wielded swords. Each statue was tens of thousands of feet tall. There were 108 bronze statues on this plain. They were arranged in a strange pattern, forming an array. In the center of the bronze statue there was a tall altar. 12 divine weapons floated around the altar. These 12 divine weapons were of different shapes and sizes. None of them were the same. Spear, sword, halberd, axe, battle axe, hook, fork, whip, truncheon, hammer, dagger, and saber. There were a total of 12 types. Each of them exuded a terrifying aura that resonated with the surrounding 108 bronze statues, increasing the power of the formation. A group of people was floating in the air of this region. There were about 30 of them. 12 of them had shocking auras and they were all divine masters. Moreover, they were not ordinary divine masters. Their auras were much stronger than a first or second layer divine master. These were all existences at the 3rd level of the divine master realm or higher. The one in the center was even more terrifying. His aura was shocking, causing the void to tremble, forming an incomparably terrifying pressure. If Lu Ming were here, he would definitely be shocked because this was an existence on the level of the Lord of Heaven. Only the strongest of the divine masters could be called the Lord of Heaven. Every Lord of Heaven was extremely powerful. Who would have thought that there would be a Lord of Heaven here? With the Lord of Heaven at the center, the 12 experts laid down a massive array. Powerful energy poured down as if they were trying to destroy the formation below and refine something. The 108 bronze statues and 12 divine weapons below had already dimmed. It seemed like they wouldn't be able to last much longer. Han Ming, accept your fate. Even if you summon 12 divine weapons, it's useless. At most, you'll be able to struggle at death's door for a little longer. Sooner or later we'll break through it. A man on the side coldly said. This man looked very young, only in his 20s, but his aura was astonishing. He was also a divine master. One naturally couldn't judge a person's age based on their appearance. Although he looked to be in his 20s, he was actually very old. At the very least, he wasn't a member of the younger generation. This was because no one in the younger generation had never been to the Grand Supreme Immortal City and had such a high cultivation. This person was speaking to the altar, as if the Han Ming he spoke of was within the altar. However, there was no response from the altar. Han Ming, 4 of the 18 divine weapons are in the hands of the Heavenly Palace. If the 18 divine weapons aren't complete, they won't be able to stop us. Also, if you want to summon the Vitality Stone fragments and reform them to strengthen yourself, you can stop dreaming. I've already sent people to hunt down those who control the fragments. Now half of the fragments are in my hands, so your fate is sealed. Han Ming, you're the master of the Heavenly Palace. You've been struggling at death's door for so long, but in the end, you still have to strengthen me. I'll extract the remaining half of the taboo body from you and complete my taboo body. Yi Wu will be the first heavenly human to completely control the taboo body. The young man shouted. It turned out that this person was the Lord Yi Wu that the heavenly humans had mentioned. How dare a heavenly human try to control the taboo power? How naive. You'll reap what you sow. This time around, a rough voice sounded from the altar. Merely it sounded very weak. Haha, nothing is impossible. I've already completely controlled half of the taboo power, and my combat strength has increased tremendously. Once I extract the other half from you, I'll be able to completely control it. At that time, I'll use both the supreme heavenly power and the taboo power at the same time. Who in the world will be my match? I'll be invincible against those of the same level, and I'll surpass the strongest person in the history of the heavenly human tribe. Ah! Yi Wu laughed. His face was ferocious, and his eyes were burning with anticipation. This time there was no response from the altar. Han Ming despair. Yi Wu snorted. At this time someone flew toward them. It was a second-level divine master heavenly human elder. You guys, how is it? Have you killed all the remaining people? Yi Wu asked. Lord Yi Wu, please forgive us. The second-level divine master heavenly human elder cupped his fists, fear written all over his face. Yi Wu frowned and a murderous aura emanated from him. Speak. What happened? Lord Yi Wu, the heavenly court is too big and we're severely understaffed. Moreover, it's difficult to capture them during the fog. We don't know where the rest of the people have gone, so... The second-level divine master heavenly human elder stammered. Trash. What a bunch of trash. Yi Wu shouted. The second-level divine master heavenly human elder lowered his head, not daring to reply. If it weren't for the fact that I couldn't leave, I would have gone there myself. Go, continue the search. You must kill all of them and bring me the fragments of the primordial stone of fate. The complete primordial stone of fate will be my treasure. Yi Wu ordered. Yes. I'll do my best. Don't do your best. You must complete it. Yi Wu's face darkened. The other party hurriedly replied and left. Chapter 4483. With the map and no one ambushing them, Lu Ming and the others moved much faster. When the fog dissipated, they moved even faster. They flew at full speed according to the map. In just 7 days, they were close to the hiding place of the Life Soul Heavenly Court's supreme treasure. At this time, the atmosphere became even more tense. Everyone wanted the supreme treasure, so they were hostile to each other. Therefore, they kept a distance from each other for fear of being ambushed by others. We're almost there. Everyone, why don't we discuss how to split the treasure after we find it? A second-layer divine master expert said. Of course, it's based on our strength. Lu Ming said. Okay, then it's based on our strength. The second-layer divine master expert said. This was the law of the cultivation world. If they couldn't work together to split the treasure, they could only rely on their strength. The others had no objections. According to the map, we'll reach a plain after flying over this mountain. We'll be there soon, another second-layer Divine Master Elder said. This person had been holding the map all this time. Everyone's hearts were in their mouths. They used their movement techniques and flew over the top of the mountain. In the next moment, everyone stopped abruptly. Their eyes widened as they stared in front of them. Then everyone's eyes were filled with shock. They naturally saw the heavenly human experts, the altar, and the formation below. Lu Ming and the others were dumbfounded. They didn't expect the heavenly human tribe to be here. Shouldn't the heavenly human tribe be in the east? Aha, I've searched high and low only to find it by chance. These people actually delivered themselves to me. Take them down. Yi Wu laughed loudly. With a wave of his hand, two heavenly human elders stepped forward and rushed toward Lu Ming and the others. These two elders didn't participate in the formation, so their cultivation wasn't too high. They were only second-layer divine masters. But they were also very terrifying. They pressed toward Lu Ming and the others like two stars. Oh no, we've been tricked. Let's go. Lu Ming roared, his power bursting forth as he pulled Xian Yinqing, Autumn Moon and Myriad God back. Xian Yinqing, Autumn Moon and Myriad God also reacted and quickly retreated. Dark Night Rose and the others reacted very quickly. Just as Lu Ming and the others retreated, they also retreated. The other groups of people reacted a little slower, and by the time they were about to retreat, the two second-tier divine masters of the celestial race had already closed in. A long spear and a battle sword, both formed from the most powerful heavenly force, slaughtered towards the crowd. The power was extremely shocking. Block it. The two second-layer divine master realm existences shouted angrily. They erupted with their full strength and blasted out a blow. However, they were no match for the celestial race's experts. After exchanging a blow, they coughed up blood and retreated. The two second-layer divine masters of the heavenly human tribe didn't stop their attacks. Screams filled the air as the only remaining first-layer divine lord was killed. In addition, a few other young prodigies were also killed. Their storage rings fell into the hands of the celestial race. Among them was the peerless genius ranked 5th on the universe prodigy list, Bao. He was also killed in a single blow. Let's go. After the two second-layer divine masters were injured, they turned around and left. They didn't dare to linger. The two of you, go after those two divine masters. Leave those little fellows to me. Yi Wu's voice rang out as he charged forward, chasing after Lu Ming and the others. His speed was extremely shocking. After a few flashes, the distance between him and Lu Ming and the others was rapidly closing. Boom. He punched out, and a blazing fist energy blasted toward Lu Ming and the others. The violent power caused Lu Ming and the group's expressions to change drastically. Third-layer divine master. The moment Yi Wu attacked, Lu Ming and the others sensed that Yi Wu's cultivation was at the third-layer divine master realm. Moreover, he wasn't an ordinary third-layer divine master. The fist energy was like a blazing sun. It was formed by countless lightning bolts. This was the power of heaven's punishment. In an instant, it enveloped Lu Ming, Xian Yinqing, Autumn Moon, Wan Shen, Dark Night Rose, Di Jianni and the others. Buzz! Lu Ming shouted as he used the obsidian staff. He unleashed his full strength and attacked the fist energy. At the same time, Xian Yinqing, Dark Night Rose and the others all attacked. They knew that if they couldn't block it they would all die. Now they were intimately interdependent. With so many people attacking at the same time, all kinds of powerful weapons bombarded the blazing fist energy, causing a series of earth-shattering explosions. Then these powerful weapons vibrated violently and were sent flying. Lu Ming and the others retreated like kites with broken strings and fell to the ground. They all suffered different degrees of injuries. What a powerful force. Lu Ming's eyes were solemn. This person's combat power was too strong. Although he was only a third-layer divine master, his strength was definitely much stronger than an ordinary third-layer divine master. When this person was young he must have been a top genius. However, at this moment Yi Wu's eyes were fixed on Lu Ming. Forbidden power. You have mastered the forbidden power. Good, very good. As long as I can suppress you and send you back to the heavenly palace, it will be a great achievement. Yi Wu laughed as he put his hands behind his back and stepped forward. He looked as if he was invincible. He was very conceited. However, with his strength, he had the right to be conceited when facing Lu Ming and the others. Attack. At this moment, Xian Yinqing and Dark Night Rose shouted as they moved at the same time. They flashed out and quickly formed seals with their hands. Combined attack technique explode. The next moment, A huge black lotus appeared under Yi Wu's feet. On top of his head, a sky-devouring rose appeared. The two flowers, one above the other, released a terrifying burst of field energy that enveloped Yi Wu. At the same time, Xian Yinqing and Dark Night Rose circulated the origin energy in their bodies. Although they had used it the last time, it had been many days since then. The origin energy in the seed of origin had long been restored. Sizzle. The field energy made Yi Wu's body tremble slightly. Even his protective heavenly energy was trembling. Combined attack technique. Interesting. No, this is the origin energy. Yi Wu's face suddenly changed. He was shocked. He could feel the origin energy in the terrifying field energy. Xian Yinqing and Dark Night Rose were only 9th layer divine gods, but they had mastered the origin energy. This made Yi Wu very surprised and curious. At this moment, Lu Ming also made his move. He also released the origin energy and merged it with the forbidden power into the obsidian staff. He activated the obsidian staff with all his might and attacked Yi Wu. Boom. The attack went through the field energy and hit Yi Wu's face. This is also the origin energy. Yi Wu's eyes were shining. There was greed, passion, and surprise in his eyes. However, he didn't stop there. He threw a punch. When he punched out, a terrifying power erupted from his body. This power was not the power of the heavens. It was the forbidden power. Chapter 4484. Clang. Yi Wu threw out a punch and hit the Bingxian staff. Instantly, Lu Ming felt an indestructible and overwhelming force rushing toward him from the Bingxian rod. His body could not help but retreat as he coughed out large mouthfuls of blood. His arm was almost shattered by the powerful force. It was covered with cracks and blood was flowing out. Forbidden power. This is the forbidden power. Lu Ming was shocked. He was all too familiar with taboo powers. Once Yi Wu used it, Lu Ming could sense that this was taboo power. At the same time, Xian Yinqing, Anya Rose, and the others were also shocked. They stared at Yi Wu. How could a member of the heavenly human tribe control the forbidden power? It was unbelievable. Legend had it that the forbidden power was the natural enemy of the heavenly human tribe. The forbidden body was the natural enemy of the heavenly human tribe. How could a member of the heavenly human tribe control the forbidden power? No, it's an incomplete forbidden power. It's not complete. There's only half of it. It might have been extracted from someone else. Lu Ming shouted. He remembered that when he was captured, the heavenly human tribe wanted to extract the forbidden power from him. Perhaps the forbidden power controlled by the heavenly human tribe was extracted from other forbidden bodies. That was why there was only half of it. A forbidden power and origin in advance. Good, very good. It's a great achievement to capture someone like you. Suppress, Yi Wu shouted. The energy in his body erupted like a volcano. This time he used his full strength. His terrifying power directly destroyed Xian Yinqing and Dark Night Rose's combined attack. The two of them spat out blood and flew back, crashing to the ground. Then Yi Wu stretched out his hand. A huge palm formed and grabbed at Lu Ming, Xian Yinqing, Anya Rose, and the others. He wanted to suppress Lu Ming and the others with a single move. Yi Wu was too powerful. His cultivation was at the 3rd level of the Divine Master Realm, which was far beyond what Lu Ming and the others could handle. Coupled with his terrifying combat strength, he was much stronger than Lu Ming and the others. He didn't use his full strength when he attacked Lu Ming and the others. Otherwise he could have killed Lu Ming and the others in an instant. At this moment he stretched out his palm. The huge palm covered the sky like a small world. The terrifying energy suppressed Lu Ming and the others and made them unable to move, let alone fight back. We still fell into Chu Yi's trap, Lu Ming sighed in his heart. At this moment he knew that Chu Yi had tricked them. What Chu Yi said sounded true. He said that there was a supreme treasure of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court here, and that it needed many pieces of the Life Spirit Origin Stone to open it. He also said that his map was true. Otherwise, Chu Yi would not have dared to swear on his life origin. However, he had hidden the most important piece of information. That was, this place had long been occupied by the heavenly human tribe. Even if Chu Yi had obtained many life origin stone fragments, he wouldn't have dared to come here. He told Lu Ming and the others about this place so that Lu Ming and the others could come here and die. Lu Ming and the others didn't understand at that time, but it was too late now. But at this moment, a sudden change occurred. Down below, on the ground, the altar that had been motionless suddenly shone brightly, and a burst of energy rushed toward Yi Wu. Yi Wu was shocked and quickly retreated. However, the target of this force wasn't Yi Wu, but Lu Ming and the others. With a bang, the giant palm formed by Yi Wu was crushed by this force. Then this force enveloped Lu Ming and the others. This force was like a strong suction force trying to suck Lu Ming and the others into the altar. Don't resist. I'm saving you. A rough voice sounded in the ears of Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming and the others were moved. They didn't resist at all and let the force pull them toward the altar. Although they didn't know who the other party was and whether they had any ill intentions, they had no choice now. If they were outside, they would definitely be suppressed or even killed by the heavenly human tribe. If they followed this force, they might have a chance. Soul destiny. Yi Wu roared, his anger soaring to the sky. Stop him. Yi Wu continued to shout. The 12 people who set up the array shouted at the same time and shot out a divine light to cut off the force from the altar. However, the altar shone and rushed out another force to attack the divine light. Boom. An earth-shattering rumble resounded, and energy overflowed in all directions. The entire area was covered by a sky full of multicolored light. Bang, bang, bang. The bronze statues kept exploding. 18 of them exploded in a row. In the end, they managed to block the force from the heavenly human tribe. There seemed to be a vortex on the altar and the suction force suddenly increased. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon, Wan Shen, Dark Night Rose, Di Jiani, Ling Heng, Yin Jiuling, Xiao Wuji, and 3 other young men and women flew into the altar and disappeared. Damn it, Yi Wu roared in anger. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 2 figures flew over. They were the 2 heavenly human tribe elders who were at 2nd level Divine Master Realm. They had gone to kill the other 2 heavenly human tribe elders and had returned. Have you killed them? Yi Wu asked coldly as he let out a breath and calmed down. Yes, they have been killed. Here are the fragments of the Soul Destiny Stone. One of the elders replied as he passed 2 storage rings to Yi Wu. Yi Wu took the 2 storage rings and scanned them with his spiritual consciousness. He looked much better. Han Ming, you can't even save yourself. You want to save them? What a joke. You destroyed 18 bronze statues to save them. Let's see how long you can resist us. Once the formation is broken, none of you will live. Yi Wu stood in the air and said to the altar. The people on the altar ignored Yi Wu. At this moment, there was a group of people staring at each other on the altar, sizing up their surroundings. The inside of the altar was very spacious and large. It was like an underground space. There was also an altar here. The altar was made of divine jade and it was covered with runes. There were also runes on the ground around the altar. These symbols shone and interweaved together to form a formation. Waves of mysterious aura were condensed from it. A figure was sitting cross-legged in the middle of the altar. The figure was in the shape of a human. He was tall and burly, but he looked miserable. He was so thin that he was just skin and bones. His eye sockets were sunken in. Occasionally, a few rays of light would flicker in them, proving that he was still alive. There was a layer of strange flames on the surface of this person's body. The flames were constantly jumping about, burning at all times. Lu Ming and the others looked at the figure carefully. It was obvious that he was the one who had brought them into the altar. Thank you for your help, Senior. Thank you for your help, Senior. Lu Ming and the others cupped their fists in gratitude. Chapter 4485. You don't have to be polite. I just don't want to see you die in the hands of the heavenly human tribe. You are all talented and have endless potential. It would be a pity to die in the hands of the heavenly human tribe. The withered figure sitting on the altar spoke. His voice was rough, just like what they had heard before, but his aura was weak. Senior, how should I address you? Lu Ming cupped his fists and asked. You heard that heavenly human brat call me, right? My name is Han Ming. The withered figure said. Han Ming? Everyone was confused. They had never heard of it before. You may not have heard of my name, but you should have heard of my other title. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here, the withered voice continued. Everyone pricked up their ears to listen. This person must have a shocking background. That was their guess. They could tell by looking at the layout of the area. There were 108 bronze statues surrounding the altar. There were also 12 powerful divine weapons around the altar. The divine weapons gave off a shocking aura. Lu Ming and Anya Rose felt a sense of familiarity. Those were the 18 divine weapons of the palaces. Thinking up to this point, the 2 of them became even more bewildered as their imaginations ran wild. Han Ming's voice continued, Back then all the races in the primitive universe called me the master of the heavenly court. Rumble. It was like a clap of thunder in everyone's mind. Everyone's eyes widened as they stared at the withered figure in shock. Shock and disbelief were in their eyes. It was shocking. It was really shocking. They had heard of the Master of the Heavenly Court. His full name was the Master of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. This person was actually the Master of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court, known as one of the most powerful taboos in history. Legend had it that the Master of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court died with the destruction of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. He was still alive. This was a truly legendary figure with an incomparably long history, even before the primordial divine court. Back then, the Master of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court had created the Life Spirit Heavenly Court with his own strength. In the end, he developed the Life Spirit Heavenly Court to fight against the Heavenly Palace. Although they were defeated in the end, the Heavenly Palace, which was at its peak, suffered a great loss. After the battle with the Life Spirit Heavenly Court, the Heavenly Palace began to decline from its peak. Only then did the archaic Divine Court rise. This legendary figure had appeared before them just like that. However, his appearance was a bit too miserable. After a while, Lu Ming and the others came back to their senses. "Senior, didn't you die in battle back then? What was going on now? Are those heavenly humans outside trying to deal with you? Also, why does the heavenly human tribe member outside possess half a wisp of forbidden power?" Lu Ming asked several questions. Everyone revealed curious expressions because these were the same questions in their hearts. This little fellow has so many questions. The voice of the Life Spirit, the owner of the heavenly courts, sounded, making Lu Ming feel a little awkward. However, he still looked at the other party, hoping that the other party could answer his question. "First, I'll answer your last question. The heavenly human outside is called Yi Wu. The half-taboo power in him is mine," Han Ming said. It turned out that this person was the Lord Yi Wu that the heavenly human tribe members had talked about. What was even more surprising was that the half-taboo power in Yi Wu's body actually belonged to the Life Spirit Heavenly Court's master. Back then, the Life Spirit Heavenly Court was defeated and I was severely injured. A few old fellows of the heavenly human tribe wanted to extract the taboo power from me. In the end, they extracted half of it. However, I managed to escape in the end and escaped with the Life Spirit Heavenly Court to hide in the ruins of the universe. I didn't expect that after so many years, they would still find me. Yi Wu's purpose was to extract half of the taboo power from me and merge it into one to form a complete taboo power. The Life Spirit Heavenly Court's master briefly explained. Although it was very simple and understated, it was very difficult to explain. However, everyone could imagine that the battle back then must have been extremely tragic. The process of his escape must have been extremely difficult. "Senior, after so many years, you still haven't recovered?" Lu Ming asked again. After knowing Han Ming's identity, Lu Ming could not help but feel a lot closer to him. Perhaps it had something to do with the fact that they both had taboo bodies. Therefore he became bolder and asked whatever questions he had. In front of an overlord like Han Ming, the others were a little reserved. Even Xian Yanqing and Anya Rose were the same. Although they were reincarnated even in their previous lives, they were still children in front of Han Ming. They were the juniors of the juniors. Difficult, difficult, difficult. Han Ming sighed and said the word, difficult, 3 times. In the battle back then, my injuries were too severe. Of course, that was not the most important thing. The most important thing was that half of my taboo power was extracted and I was struck by the heavenly human tribe's 3rd-generation soul fire. It's the same kind of fire that's on my body. The 3rd-generation soul fire is difficult to extinguish. It's said to be able to stay with me for 3 lifetimes and constantly erode my soul, essence, and spirit. Even after the new year, it was difficult for me to recover. Han Ming said. Everyone's hearts trembled slightly. The 3rd-generation soul fire. There was actually such a terrifying fire in the world that could stay with him for 3 lifetimes and could not be extinguished. It was the same even for someone as powerful as Han Ming. For countless years, he had to endure the pain of the 3rd-generation soul fire without being able to recover his strength. Just thinking about it made one shudder. This is also because of the confidence of Yi Wu and the others. Otherwise, I would be able to crush these heavenly humans outside with a finger as long as I recover some of my strength, Han Ming said. A glint flashed in Han Ming's sunken eyes. Everyone felt as if they were looking at that invincible powerhouse again. Senior, how should we get out of here? Lu Ming asked. It's difficult to get out of here. Han Ming sighed. Everyone's heart sank. Even Han Ming said that it would be difficult to get out. Were they really going to be trapped here until they died? Now, I'm using my remaining strength to control the array formation outside to resist. However, the other party has set up a great array formation, and there's even a heavenly monarch leading it. He's constantly breaking the array formation. Although I've summoned the 12 palace garrison divine weapons, they're not complete. They won't be able to resist for long. Han Ming said. We have 2 guardian divine weapons here. I don't know if they'll be useful. Lu Ming said. It's useless. Even with the 2 of you, we only have 14 of them. The 18 Hall Garrison divine weapons are incomplete, so they won't be of much use. The remaining ones should be sealed in the Celestial Palace, so I can't summon them. Han Ming shook his head and continued. Originally, I wanted to summon the fragments of my Life Spirit Stone to form a complete Life Spirit Stone. The Life Spirit Stone can provide me with great strength and allow me to resist the other party for a while. However, most of the fragments have been intercepted by the other party. Chapter 4486. According to the Life Spirit Heavenly Court's Master, he had wanted to summon the fragments of the Life Spirit Primordial Stone to form a complete Life Spirit Primordial Stone. Unfortunately, the Heavenly Human Clan had intercepted most of it. Even though Lu Ming had brought a few pieces with him, they weren't useful. Lu Ming and the others finally understood why the Life Spirit Primordial Stone had acted strangely all of a sudden. It was because the Life Spirit Heavenly Court's Master had summoned it. The people of the Heavenly Human Tribe set up a formation to destroy the formation protecting me. It has already been 3,000 years. My strength is constantly weakening. If this continues, I estimate that they will break through the protective formation in at most 3 years. With my current strength, I am definitely not their match. Now, if you want to leave safely, there's only one way, said the Life Spirit Heavenly Court's Master. What way? Everybody's eyes lit up. It's up to you. The Life Spirit Heavenly Court's Master opened his turbid eyes and looked at Lu Ming. If it's up to me, I only have the strength of the 9th Great Supreme God Layer. I'm afraid I won't be of much use, said Lu Ming. No, you'll be of great use. More precisely, your forbidden strength will be of great use, said the Life Spirit Heavenly Court's Master. After a short pause, he continued, you have a forbidden body, so you have complete forbidden strength. As for me, I have a forbidden body too. I can lend you my strength and fuse it with your forbidden strength. That way you'll be able to explode with incredible strength. It won't be difficult for you to defeat the Heavenly Human Clan's people outside. Lend me your strength? Oh, asked Lu Ming. Let me enter your body and fuse with your strength. Half of my forbidden strength can fuse with half of your forbidden strength. That way I'll be able to recover some of my strength, said the Life Spirit Heavenly Court's Master. Let you enter my body? Lu Ming's expression changed drastically. At the same time, Xian Yinqing, Chiu Moon, and Wan Xin's expressions changed drastically. Letting someone else enter one's body was extremely dangerous. Especially someone like the Life Spirit Heavenly Court's Master, it was even more dangerous. Besides, he looked miserable. He had been tortured by the 3-world soulfire for countless years. He looked like a lamp that was about to run out of oil. If he entered Lu Ming's master's body, would he have any evil intentions? Possession? Lin Fan had to be on guard. After all, it was impossible to judge a book by its cover. Moreover, they had only just met. Lu Ming, don't accept him. Young Master, Heavenly Court's Master's Heavenly Court's Master's Master. Com's Master Heavenly Court Spirit Heavenly Court. Heavenly Human Court Master. Heavenly Human Body. Had Life Spirit Heavenly Court's Master? Heaven's Heavenly Court's Master Heavenly Courts. Heavenly Court Spirit Heavenly Court. Said King Heavenly Court. The Life Spirit Heavenly Court Spirit shook his head. No matter what I say, no matter how nice it sounds, you will still have concerns. After all, we are not familiar with each other. Moreover, the Oath of Life Origin is ineffective on me. So, even if I swear, you will not believe me. Lu Ming did not say anything. Indeed, he would not believe the Master's words. He would still have concerns. It's up to you to choose. If you choose to believe me, you can live. If you don't, we will die together when the protective array is broken. Everyone was silent. Dark Night rose and the others naturally hoped that Lu Ming would agree. That way, whether Lu Ming would be possessed or not, they would have a chance to live. However, they could not persuade Lu Ming. Moreover, you don't have much time to consider. I can at most resist for 3 more years. However, it's impossible for you to have 3 years to consider. Even if you agree to let me enter your body and fuse with the taboo power temporarily, with your current cultivation, you still don't have the qualifications. Only when your cultivation reaches the Divine Master realm will you have the right to do so. Otherwise, you will explode and die before your power can fuse. The Life Spirit, the Lord of the Heavenly Court, said. It requires the cultivation of the Divine Master Realm. That's impossible in 3 years. Lu Ming sighed and nodded slightly. The others also shook their heads and sighed. 3 years was too short. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Dark Knight Rose, and the others who had the strength of the top of the 9th Great Supreme God layer couldn't break through in 3 years. How could Lu Ming break through to the Divine Master Realm in 3 years? And Lu Ming knew that it was unlikely. Up until now, he still hadn't found the direction to break through to the Divine Master Realm. It was as if there was a dense fog in front of him and he didn't know where to go. Obviously, his accumulation was far from enough. Not to mention 3 years, under normal circumstances, even 300, 3,000 or even 30,000 years would be impossible. Under normal circumstances, it would be impossible. However, with my help, it might not be impossible. The Life Spirit, the Lord of the Heavenly Court, said. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. This was the Life Spirit, the Lord of the Heavenly Court. It was the oldest and strongest forbidden body in history. Perhaps it really could help him break through to the Divine Master Realm in 3 years. Originally, even with my help, I wouldn't have been able to help you break through to the Divine Master Realm in 3 years. However, you have the Origin Seed. This is a great shortcut that can save you a lot of time. I really didn't expect that you would be able to condense an Origin Seed at such a young age. You must have had some heaven-defying opportunity, right? The Life Spirit, the Lord of the Heavenly Court, swept its gaze over Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon, Myriad God, Dark Knight Rose and the others. That's right. We only managed to condense the Origin Seed by chance. However, how will the Origin Seed help us break through to the Divine Master Realm? Lu Ming asked humbly. It will be of great help. For those who cultivate divine power, if they want to break through from the Divine Emperor Realm to the Divine Master Realm, they need to cultivate a universe bridge in the black hole in their body. The universe bridge will extend to the depths of the black hole. The ultimate goal of the universe bridge is to connect to the universe sea so that they can comprehend the universe origin energy. However, where is the universe sea? There is no direction. Ordinary people only know how to cultivate the universe bridge and extend it to the depths of the black hole until they reach the 9th level of the Divine Emperor Realm. Only then can they find the direction. However, you are different. You already have the Origin Seed and can sense the universe sea. It's like there are 2 points in space. As long as you connect the 2 points, you will be able to find a clear direction. You just need to keep going in this direction. Therefore, once you cultivate to the Divine Master Realm, your progress will be many times faster than ordinary people. Ordinary people need to cultivate and comprehend at the same time to find the direction. However, you have already set the direction. As long as you keep accumulating energy, you can continue to improve. Do you understand this explanation? The Life Spirit, the Lord of the Heavenly Court, said. Lu Ming and the others' eyes lit up. They felt enlightened. They had heard that condensing the Origin Seed would be of great help to the cultivation of the Divine Master Realm. However, Lu Ming did not understand what kind of help it would provide. Now, after the Life Spirit, the Lord of the Heavenly Court's explanation, he suddenly understood. Chapter 4487. In fact, the black hole in a cultivator's body is equivalent to a door that leads to the universe sea. Anyone who wants to break through to the Divine Master Realm needs this door. The Life Spirit Master of Heavenly Court continued to explain. Lu Ming's expression changed slightly at these words. Senior, I have no door, how can I break through? Lu Ming asked. Cultivating the taboo power was completely different from ordinary cultivators. There was no black hole in his body, which meant that there was no door. How could he connect to the universe sea? So, if there is no door, you have to create one. The Life Spirit Master of Heavenly Court said, there are 2 main obstacles for a taboo body to break through to the Divine Master Realm. First, you have to create a door. Second, there will be many restrictions when breaking through to the next realm. You need to be extremely strong to break through the restrictions. You have to create your own secret skill. Create your own secret skill? When I broke through to the God Emperor Realm, I created a secret skill. I wonder if it can be used? Lu Ming asked. Upon hearing this, Anya Rose, Di Jenny, and the rest looked at Lu Ming in shock. Lu Ming could create his own secret skill? This was absolutely shocking. Lu Ming was more terrifying than they had imagined. What? When you broke through to the God Emperor Realm, you wanted to create your own secret skill. You even succeeded? This time, even the Life Spirit Master of Heavenly Court was shocked. Cough cough yes. Lu Ming coughed dryly. Young man, how many secret skills have you mastered? It seems that there are some incredible people in the universe over the years. The Life Spirit Master of Heavenly Court exclaimed. In the era when the Life Spirit was the master of the Heavenly Court, there were no ancient secret skills in the universe. There were only some ordinary secret skills. Therefore, he did not expect that Lu Ming would create his own secret skill after breaking through from the Divine Emperor realm to the Divine the Arch realm. The main reason was that Lu Ming had mastered too many ancient secret skills, so there were many restrictions. After a while, the Life Spirit Master of Heavenly Court reacted and said, "No, the secret skill that you created when you were at the God Emperor realm can only help you break through to the God Emperor realm. If you want to break through to the Divine Master realm, you have to create your own secret skill." He wants to create his own secret technique within 3 years? Lu Ming was bewildered. This was simply impossible. It was too difficult. It had taken him several hundred years to create the heaven-crushing art, and he had only succeeded on the Bodhi tree stump in the Grand Supreme Immortal City. Now he had no idea how to create the second style of the secret skill. It was almost impossible for him to succeed in creating it in 3 years. Under normal circumstances, it would be impossible. However, with my help, it is possible. The Life Spirit, the Lord of the Heavenly Court, said. Although the Master of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court had personally made this promise, Lu Ming still found it hard to believe. Suddenly, the altar below the Life Spirit of the Lord of the Heavenly Courts lit up. At the same time, the runes around the altar also emitted a glow. The entire underground space changed drastically all of a sudden. It was as if time and space had been reversed. Lu Ming and the group seemed to be in a starry universe. In the starry sky there were countless stars. At this moment they were all emitting dazzling light. Waves of gentle starlight fell on their bodies. Comfortable. Being enveloped by the starlight, the only thing they felt was comfort. It was as if their bodies had relaxed. Every pore on their bodies opened up, and every cell in their bodies started operating. At the same time, their minds were extremely clear. All the negative emotions in their hearts disappeared, as if their souls had been sublimated. This state, Lu Ming was shocked. This state was very similar to the feeling he had on the Bodhi tree stump, but the effect was much stronger. In an instant, dozens of secret techniques flashed through his mind. It was as if he had a new understanding of these secret techniques. The starlight was constantly seeping into his pores and activating his cells. It was constantly improving and strengthening his body. Not only his body but also his taboo energy. Lu Ming felt that by absorbing this energy, his taboo energy would be strengthened. However, at this moment the surrounding environment suddenly changed again. The stars disappeared and the feeling of clarity also disappeared. They had returned to the underground space. Lu Ming looked around and saw Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon, Wan Shen, Dark Night Rose and the others. They all looked like they had not had enough. Obviously they had also entered the starry sky. How do you feel? In such an environment, can your cultivation speed be greatly increased? The Life Spirit, the Master of the Heavenly Court, asked. In such an environment we can indeed improve quickly, but in 3 years, Lu Ming replied. Towards the end of his sentence, he started to ponder. Even in such an environment, it was still impossible to comprehend a second secret technique that belonged to him in 3 years. The array here is called the Divine Creation Array. As its name suggests, one can obtain supreme fortune in the array. This is a backup plan that I set up in the early years. I was entangled by the 3 lifetime soul fire. The 3 lifetimes divine fire can continuously corrode one's body and soul, causing one to become muddle-headed and eventually sink into oblivion. Back then, I was severely injured and half of my taboo energy was sucked away. If not for the Divine Creation Array to keep my mind clear, I would have sunk into oblivion. Even if I did not die, I would have become a walking corpse. Similarly, when an ordinary person is in the Divine Creation Array, their mind will be clear and free of impurities and impurities. It can also strengthen the power of the soul, greatly increasing the comprehension of the living beings in it. Also, this formation contains a huge amount of treasures. Although I've used up a lot of them over the years, it still contains a lot of energy once it's activated. Most importantly, this formation also contains the spine of a primitive godly spirit. That primitive godly spirit is a primitive godly spirit that can control time and space. It can be said that it's the ancestor of the stone spirit and spirit rats. When it's in the formation, it can control time and speed it up to 100 times faster than the outside world. In other words, 3 years of cultivation inside is equivalent to 300 years of cultivation outside. The Life Spirit, the Lord of the Heavenly Court, explained in detail. So mysterious, Lu Ming was excited. 3 years was equivalent to 300 years of cultivation outside, and in such an environment, it was entirely possible for him to comprehend his second secret skill. There are two main difficulties for you to become a divine master. One is to create a door that can be used to build a bridge to the universe ocean. This is actually very simple. It's easy to construct it using your own cells that have fused with the secret skill. The most difficult part is to comprehend your own secret skill. Once this is solved, it won't be difficult for you to break through to the divine master realm. Also, once I activate the array, all of you can cultivate inside. With your foundation, most of you can break through to the divine master realm. What do you think, little guy? Do you want to consider it? The life spirit, the Lord of the heavenly court, said in a tempting voice. Chapter 4488. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He had to admit that the life spirit heavenly court master's words were very tempting. Not only could he break through to the almighty realm, but so could Autumn Moon and the others. Once they did, their strength would increase tremendously. All right, I agree. Lu Ming pondered for a moment before agreeing. Under such circumstances, he had no choice. If he did not agree, they would all die when the heavenly human tribe refined the formation and broke in. According to the life spirit heavenly court master, there was someone at the level of the Lord of Heaven among the heavenly human tribe outside. Previously, the Lord of Heaven was busy refining the protective formation and did not have time to attack them. Once the Lord of Heaven attacked, they would not be able to resist. The Lord of Heaven could kill them as easily as killing an ant. The difference was too great. If he agreed to the life spirit heavenly court master's conditions, he would at least have a chance of survival. Even if the Lord of Heaven had evil intentions and possessed him, at least Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon, Wan Shen, and Qiu Qiu would survive. It could be said that he had no choice. Hence, Lu Ming agreed without hesitation. Lu Ming. Young master. Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon, and the others were worried. However, Anya Rose, Di Jenny, and the others were delighted. No matter what happened to Lu Ming, it was great news for Di Jenny and the others. Lu Ming glanced at Dark Knight Rose and the rest. He really wanted to suggest to the Life Soul Heavenly Court Master to exclude Dark Knight Rose and the rest from entering the Creation Divine Array. However, on second thought, Lu Ming rejected the idea. With Anya Rose and the others' talents, it would not be a problem for them to break through to the Almighty Realm. It was just a matter of time. If they were not allowed to enter the formation now, they would be able to break through later. Another thing was that it was hard to predict what would happen 3 years later. Who knew if the Life Spirit Heavenly Court Master could deal with the people from the Heavenly Court after merging into his body? After all, the Life Spirit of the Lord of the Heavenly Court looked too weak. If Dark Knight Rose and the others broke through to the God Lord realm and became much stronger, they would attract a lot of firepower and change the situation. This was beneficial to Xian Yanqing and the others. After all, Dark Knight Rose and the others did not have any deep grudges with them. It was just that they had different ideologies. Even if it was Di Jenny who had been enemies with Lu Ming in the Taishu dynasty, it was because they had their own masters. Hence, there was no grudge between the two of them. Alright, there's no time to lose. Let's begin. I'll open the array. You guys enter the array and cultivate. Lu Ming, if you have any questions, you can ask me at any time. The Life Spirit, the Lord of the Heavenly Court, said. Thank you, Senior. Lu Ming cupped his fists. Then, let's start the formation. The voice of the Heavenly Court rang out. As soon as it spoke, the runes on the altar and the ground glowed again. In the next moment, Lu Ming and the others returned to the starry sky. They bathed in the starlight and sat cross-legged to cultivate. Lu Ming also sat cross-legged in the starry sky. He closed his eyes and began to cultivate. First he had to open a door. A black hole would appear in the elixir field of others. That was the door to the universe sea. But he did not. He had to do it himself. However, it was not difficult. He had mastered tens of thousands of secret skills and had integrated them into the cells in his body. He only needed to use the cells that had integrated the secret skills as the foundation to create a door. His body began to shine with spots of light. Those were the cells that had been fused with the secret technique runes. Each cell was as bright as a star. What I need to do is to connect these cells together, Lu Ming said to himself and began to try. Soon there was movement. A cell between his eyebrows shone. Then, a thread extended and connected to another glowing cell nearby. Then, a thread extended out from the second cell and connected to the third cell. In this way, the second cell connected to the third to the fourth, and the fourth to the fifth. About half a month later, the tens of thousands of cells in his body that had integrated the secret skill runes were connected. It was like a painting. Under Lu Ming's meticulous drawing, the tens of thousands of points connected to form a pattern. This pattern looked like a door. Open! Lu Ming shouted softly. All the cells in his body trembled. Taboo power gushed out of every cell and surged into the tens of thousands of cells. All of a sudden, the tens of thousands of cells shone brightly. Then, an extremely powerful force gathered in the middle of the door. The space in the middle of the door started to tremble and crumble. In the end, a pitch-black vortex appeared. This vortex kept spinning. It was unfathomable. No one knew where it led to. I did it. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He had finally evolved a door. This door was the door to the Universe C. Its effect was similar to the other people's black holes. However, the others evolved step by step through star cores and stars. He, on the other hand, evolved with the surrounding cells as the foundation and the forbidden power as the carrier. Senior, does my cultivation in the Divine Lord realm also require me to open a universal bridge through this door? Lu Ming's spiritual sense vibrated and sent out a message. He knew that the Master of the Heavenly Court could hear it. Sure enough, the next moment, the Master of the Heavenly Court's voice rang out. Not necessarily, the Life Spirit, the Lord of the Heavenly Court, said, I can't say for sure. After all, there are too few taboo bodies in history. Before me, as far as I know, there was only one taboo body that cultivated to the Divine Master realm. Unfortunately, that taboo body perished at the Divine Master realm. As far as I know, when he broke through to the Almighty realm, he didn't open a universe bridge. Instead, it was a platform. As he continued to cultivate, the platform would carry his consciousness deeper and deeper. However, that person didn't break through to the origin realm. I don't know what the result of his cultivation will be. As for me, what I opened was a path. A path paved with white jade. Following this path, you can reach the Universe C. Therefore, I speculate that the path to the Universe C created by the forbidden body may be different. The Master of the Heavenly Court's Life Spirit said. Is that so? Lu Ming muttered. Now that you've opened the door, you can begin to comprehend your own secret technique. Once you succeed, it shouldn't be difficult for you to break through to the Almighty realm. The Master of the Heavenly Court's Life Spirit said. All right. Lu Ming nodded. With a thought, the cells in his body dimmed and the door disappeared. Of course, it didn't really disappear. As long as he willed it, the door would reappear. In this aspect, he was different from ordinary cultivators. For ordinary cultivators, the black hole in their dantian existed at all times. However, the door he created could open and close at will. Chapter 4489. After completing the first step, Lu Ming began the second step, which was to comprehend his own secret technique. This step was also the most difficult. Because Lu Ming still had no clue. Lu Ming closed his eyes. Under the creation divine formation, his mind was clear and his comprehension was greatly improved. In his mind, all kinds of ordinary secret techniques and ancient secret techniques flashed continuously. Originally, Lu Ming had almost cultivated all of these secret techniques to greater mastery, but now he suddenly had a new understanding of these secret techniques. Although there are many changes, there are still similarities. As long as I can comprehend the core and use it as a reference, it won't be difficult to comprehend my own secret technique, Lu Ming pondered. After reviewing all the secret techniques, there was only one secret technique left in his mind. Previously, he had only briefly reviewed them. Now, he was going to carefully comprehend each of the secret techniques. But at this moment, the primordial celestial stone in his sea of consciousness vibrated, and a mysterious aura spread out. On the primordial celestial stone there were fine lines of runes. These runes seemed to be alive as they constantly swam and intertwined to form different patterns. Then they scattered and intertwined to form new patterns. There were endless changes and it was mysterious and unpredictable. Looking at these patterns was also beneficial to Lu Ming's comprehension of the secret technique. With the support of the primordial celestial stone, Lu Ming's comprehension of the secret technique became faster. When comprehending a single secret technique, he would gain new insights almost every moment. Lu Ming spent a day comprehending this secret technique, and then changed to another secret technique. In a day's time, Lu Ming's comprehension of this secret technique had increased by a large margin. Compared to before, it was much stronger, and its power was also much stronger than before. It was a step further. With the support of the creation divine formation, 3 years in the outside world was equivalent to 300 years in here. Therefore, Lu Ming had the time to comprehend all kinds of secret techniques. Fei Huang said that at the end of cultivation, one had to forget all the secret techniques that one had comprehended in the past. Only the secret techniques that one had comprehended were left in one's heart. However, Lu Ming was still very far from that level. They needed to reach reciprocity at the very least to touch upon that realm. At this stage, Lu Ming did not need to do that at all. At this stage, Lu Ming did not want to forget. Instead, he wanted to deepen his comprehension. After comprehending it to the extreme, then forget it. Lu Ming only spent 1 day on each secret technique. Of course, Lu Ming would spend more time on the primordial secret skills. However, there were only over 1,800 types of primordial secret skills. Even if he spent more time on them, it would not take too long. Just like that, time passed day by day. In the blink of an eye, 10 years had passed. Of course, these 10 years referred to the 10 years in the creation divine formation and not the 10 years in the outside world. That is, suddenly Lu Ming felt that there was a powerful force not far away. This force was too familiar. It was Xian Yanqing. Lu Ming ended his cultivation and looked in that direction. Xiaoqing is about to break through. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Obviously, Xian Yanqing was about to break through to the Divine Master Realm. Anya Rose is also about to break through. Lu Ming's eyes moved and looked in the other direction. Anya Rose was also emitting a powerful aura. Obviously, she was also about to break through to the Divine Master Realm. Xian Yanqing and Anya Rose were already very close to the Divine Master Realm. In the highest immortal city, they were almost able to break through. They had been suppressing their cultivation and did not break through. After this period of cultivation, their breakthroughs were completely achieved when the conditions were right. Their auras were getting stronger and stronger, alarming the others. Autumn Moon, Wan Xin, Di Jinni, Yin Jioling, Ling Heng and the others woke up and looked at the two of them. After a while, their auras reached the peak. With a loud boom, the two of them had entered the Divine Master Realm. Huff huff huff, in the starry sky the stars shone brightly. Rays of gentle starlight gathered towards the two of them and were absorbed into their bodies. This starlight was actually the treasures in the creation divine formation. It contained a huge amount of energy and was extremely pure. It was constantly being converted into the two of them's power. These two, At this moment, the master of the heavenly court was also carefully sizing up Xian Yanqing and Anya Rose. The more he looked, the more shocked he was. This seems to be the power of reincarnation. Could the two of them be reincarnated? Who are they? Are they people from the previous era? No, judging from their expressions, they should have appeared later than me. Could it be that the younger generation has already mastered reincarnation? The master of the heavenly court could not calm himself down and let his imagination run wild. Slowly, Xian Yanqing and Anya Rose's aura stabilized and concealed themselves. Of course, they had just broken through to the Divine Master Realm and needed some time to consolidate. The others also began to cultivate, trying to break through to the Divine Master Realm as soon as possible. Lu Ming also began to cultivate again. He began to comprehend one secret technique after another. In the blink of an eye, 200 years had passed. In these 200 years, Lu Ming had comprehended tens of thousands of secret techniques. He had a completely new understanding of each secret technique. My secret techniques, Lu Ming muttered. In his mind, secret technique after secret technique flashed. The advantages and disadvantages of each secret technique appeared in his mind. Intertwine, converge, evolve, Lu Ming muttered to himself. His hands involuntarily danced. His 10 fingers streaked across the void like lightning, drawing out patterns. These runes intertwined with each other to form a secret technique. However, this secret technique soon collapsed and disappeared. No, it's still an ancient secret technique, Lu Ming muttered and continued to evolve. The secret technique that his hands had just formed was still an ancient secret technique. It was not a secret technique that he had comprehended himself. At most, he had only changed it a little and mixed in some other secret techniques. But it was far from being a secret technique that belonged to him. Continue. Lu Ming seemed to be crazy as he immersed himself in comprehending the secret technique. Time passed day by day. During this period, Wan Xin had broken through to the Divine Master Realm. Qiu Yu had also broken through to the Divine Master Realm. Even Qiu had become a 9th-level divine god after refining the incomplete origin divine weapon. In addition, Di Jinni, Yin Jioling and Ling Heng had also broken through to the Divine Master Realm. However, Lu Ming was still focused on cultivating. Lu Ming's hands did not stop at all. He was constantly practicing the secret technique. A secret technique was formed and then collapsed. Soon, another few dozen years had passed. The secret technique that Lu Ming had evolved had a great change. In the beginning, the secret technique that he had evolved had the shadow of other ancient secret techniques. But slowly the shadow faded. It seemed to form a new secret technique. The apex. Chapter 4490. However, Lu Ming was still not satisfied. The secret skills he created later still had the shadow of other secret skills. They didn't seem to be very powerful, and there was a big gap between them and the heaven-breaking style. Secret skills, my own secret skills, the 3,000 ancient secret skills? There is no need to divide the secret skills into 3,000 types. There are too many of them. How powerful would it be if they could be combined into one secret skill? Not only were there ideas in Lu Ming's mind, but his hands were also dancing like lightning, reflecting the ideas in his mind. Suddenly Lu Ming's body trembled. Hundreds of cells lit up, and tens of thousands of secret skills appeared around Lu Ming's body. They kept changing according to Lu Ming's thoughts, and finally they slowly intertwined and merged together. But soon, with a bang, the secret skills collapsed and disappeared without a trace. He failed. However, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He felt that it was very feasible. Continue. Lu Ming continued to activate all the secret skills. Under Lu Ming's control, they continued to intertwine and merge, but soon they still failed. However, Lu Ming didn't give up. He continued. Failure, 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 failure. Lu Ming didn't know how many times he had failed, but each failure gave Lu Ming some experience. The next time, the intertwining of the secret skills would last longer. Failure after failure, the experience after experience. Another 20 years later. At this time, Lu Ming had been cultivating for 260 years. He was almost 300 years away from the master of the heavenly court. At this time, the master of the heavenly court was getting weaker and weaker. Its eyes were dim and its breath was weak. Little guy, you have to hurry up. I can't take it anymore. The master of the heavenly court sighed. At this time, hundreds of heavenly humans were standing in the air outside the ground. Yi Wu stood in the crowd, his eyes full of expectation and ferocity. Soon this great formation will be completely refined. Han Ming, half of the taboo energy in your body will be mine. I will also suppress the taboo body. Yi Wuxin roared, filled with excitement and anticipation. Inside the Fortune Divine formation, Lu Ming was still comprehending. After failing a few more times in a row. Condense. All of a sudden, Lu Ming let out a loud shout as his hands danced at an astonishing speed. Tens of thousands of secret techniques rapidly intertwined and fused together. In the end, they actually formed a world. This seemed to be a continent. Mountains, rivers, flowers, and trees could be vaguely seen on it. Lu Ming stood on the continent as if he was the ruler of the world. This continent, could it be an imitation of the legendary desolate continent? The life spirit, the lord of the heavenly court, muttered to himself. At first he was shocked, but then he was pleasantly surprised. Success. He knew that Lu Ming had succeeded in comprehending a secret skill that belonged to him. Yes, the continent that Lu Ming had condensed was the secret technique that Lu Ming had just comprehended. Genius, what a genius. The secret technique that he has comprehended is even more amazing than I thought. The life spirit exclaimed in his heart. The life spirit of the heavenly courts was right. Lu Ming had indeed comprehended the mystic skill by imitating the primordial continent. In the last epoch, the entire universe, including the universe ruins and the current desolate universe, was actually a continent. It was a vast and boundless continent. Countless living beings multiplied on it and gave birth to countless overlords. This made Lu Ming fascinated. He had imagined the glory of the desolate continent more than once in his mind. Therefore, when he comprehended his secret technique, he had unknowingly deviated in this direction. After using the secret technique that he had comprehended in the end, he had also condensed the desolate continent that he had imagined. Disperse. Lu Ming's heart stirred and the continent under his feet dispersed. Condense. In the next moment, Lu Ming's hands quickly formed seals. In his body, tens of thousands of cells shone like stars. Tens of thousands of secret techniques appeared. Under the guidance of Lu Ming's seals, they intertwined and merged. In the end, another continent was condensed. It was not a fluke. Lu Ming had truly mastered this technique. This secret technique shall be called the desolate style. Lu Ming smiled. The first secret technique was called the heaven-breaking style. It meant to destroy the heavenly palace. This technique was modeled after the desolate continent and was called the desolate style. So far, Lu Ming had created a total of 2 secret techniques that belonged to him. The heaven-breaking style and the desolate style. Alright, Lu Ming, now begin to break through. Break through the bottleneck, connect to the cosmic sea, and enter the almighty realm. The voice of the life spirit rang in Lu Ming's ears. Lu Ming nodded silently. Then he closed his eyes and let the starlight bathe his body. After a period of time, Lu Ming's state reached its peak. His body suddenly moved and a dazzling light burst out. Desolate style. Lu Ming shouted softly. The aura on his body soared and kept rising. He rushed toward the peak of the Emperor God realm. Soon Lu Ming's aura reached its peak. It had reached a limit. It was blocked by something and could not go any further. This was the bottleneck. The bottleneck of the forbidden body was stronger than that of others. It could not be broken unless one comprehended a secret technique. There were gains and losses. The power of the forbidden body was exchanged for a bottleneck that was more difficult to break through. Lu Ming's second secret technique, the desolate style, was displayed again. A vast continent appeared and suddenly pressed down on Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body shook violently. There was a rumbling sound coming from his body. It was as if something was constantly shaking. Boom. Finally, Lu Ming's body exploded. Then his aura suddenly soared like a flood breaking through a dam. It was unstoppable. He broke through. Lu Ming finally broke through the bottleneck and let his aura enter a new realm. However, this was not a real breakthrough. He was only half a step into the Divine Master realm. There was still an important step that had not been completed. The other cultivators had to open up the universal bridge next. Lu Ming also had to open up something similar. Lu Ming's heart stirred. Tens of thousands of cells that had been integrated with secret technique runes connected together and formed a door. Rumble. The space in the center of the door kept exploding. A pitch-black vortex appeared. At this moment, the vortex kept roaring and trembling. The light on the door frame on the side became stronger and stronger. Slowly, something began to emerge. It was the universal bridge. No, it was not the universal bridge, but something similar to it. A road. It was actually a road. At first, it was very blurry, but it slowly became clear. It was a yellow mud road. It was withered, ancient, and not big. It was only 2 meters wide. There's blood. The next moment, Lu Ming was shocked. He saw bloodstains on the yellow dirt road. A pool of blood dyed the yellow mud road red. He could not tell that this was definitely not an illusion. There was really a pool of blood on the yellow mud road. The peak. Chapter 4491. He had opened up a path leading to the universe sea on the door. It was a yellow muddy road and there was blood on the yellow muddy road. Lu Ming was taken aback. He had never heard of such a thing before. The nature of the yellow mud road should be the same as the cosmic bridges of others. They were both paths to the cosmic sea and should be formed by energy. However, why would there be blood on a yellow mud road formed by energy? Lu Ming suppressed the shock and doubt in his heart and focused on breaking through. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The starlight in the starry sky kept rushing toward Lu Ming as if it was real. Lu Ming has also broken through. Xianyinqing, Autumn Moon, Wanshen, Dark Night Rose, and the others stopped cultivating to watch Lu Ming break through. Lu Ming bathed in the rich starlight. The starlight was a vast amount of energy, and it was incomparably pure. It kept pouring into Lu Ming's body and turning into forbidden energy. Lu Ming's strength kept increasing, and so did his forbidden energy. A few days later, Lu Ming's aura stabilized, and his cultivation completely stabilized at the first level of the Divine Master realm. Lu Ming felt that the forbidden energy in his body was surging. It was much stronger than when he was at the 9th level of the Divine Master realm. That yellow mud road, Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He realized that the yellow mud road had become much clearer, and it led all the way to the depths of the door. It extended into the darkness without end. Suddenly, Lu Ming's figure appeared on the yellow mud road. Of course, this wasn't Lu Ming's real body, but the manifestation of Lu Ming's consciousness. It was formed by Lu Ming's consciousness. This yellow mud road feels so real. Lu Ming's consciousness landed on the yellow mud road and he carefully observed it. It was too real. The yellow mud road was almost exactly the same as the real one, but it had a special aura that gave people an ancient and lonely feeling. It was as if it had crossed over from an ancient era to time and space. Or perhaps it gave people the illusion that they had returned to ancient times. Lu Ming stepped forward, arriving in front of the pool of blood. Suddenly, Lu Ming felt a piercing pain on his skin, as if he was being cut by a knife. His figure involuntarily retreated. This blood is real. Lu Ming's pupils shrank rapidly. He discovered that this blood was real blood, as if it had just been left behind by a terrifying creature. It contained terrifying killing intent. Just now he had been forced to retreat by the terrifying killing intent in the blood. This was the yellow mud road that he had condensed. It was the road that led to the cosmic ocean, and he had complete control over it. However, something like this had happened, which made Lu Ming's hair stand on end. He felt that things were out of his control. What the hell was this thing that he had condensed? Whose blood was this? Why would it appear on the condensed path? Lu Ming was dumbfounded. Let's ask Han Ming. Maybe he knows. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He dispersed his consciousness and restrained his aura. When he restrained his aura, the door on his body disappeared, and the yellow mud road in the door also disappeared. Lu Ming opened his eyes. Xian Yinqing, mid-autumn moon, and all the gods came over one after another to be happy for Lu Ming. Haha, little guy, you've finally broken through. Not bad, not bad. Your talent is really amazing. However, if you don't break through soon, these old bones of mine won't be able to hold on any longer. The Lord of the Heavenly Court laughed, and his voice was much louder. Obviously, he was also very happy to see Lu Ming break through. Thank you for your guidance, Senior. Lu Ming clasped his fists. I'm just the icing on the cake. The main thing is still up to you. By the way, what's condensed in your door? The Lord of the Heavenly Court asked. He was also very curious about this because he speculated that every forbidden body would condense a different path after breaking through to the Almighty Realm. Senior, it's like this? Lu Ming wanted to ask the Lord of the Heavenly Court, so he immediately explained his situation in detail. What? There are bloodstains? What's going on? After hearing this, the Lord of the Heavenly Court fell into deep thought. This situation was beyond his expectations. If it was just a yellow muddy road, he wouldn't be too surprised. However, there were bloodstains on the yellow muddy road that contained a terrifying killing intent. This shocked him. There's actually such a thing. I've never heard of it, nor have I seen any records of it in the ancient books. The Lord of the Heavenly Court frowned and looked at Lu Ming with both surprise and curiosity. Senior, you don't even know. Lu Ming's heart sank. He didn't know whether it was good or bad. Are there any other forbidden bodies after me that have reached the major success realm? Perhaps you can go and ask them. The Lord of the Heavenly Court said. The major success realm forbidden body he was talking about was a forbidden body that had reached the origin realm. In history, only 4 people had reached it. After I get out, it seems like I'll have to ask Senior Fei Huang. Lu Ming pondered. Bam, bam, bam. At this moment, there was a violent rumble. The starry sky shook and then collapsed. Lu Ming and the others reappeared in the underground space. This was the sign that the Fortune Divine Formation had stopped operating. The bronze statues outside have collapsed a little more. I can hold on for another 2 months at most before I run out of fuel. Fortunately, you've broken through. Lu Ming, let's begin, the Lord of the Heavenly Court said. The Life Spirit, the Lord of the Heavenly Court, said. His aura was weaker than before. Clearly he was truly on the verge of death. All right. Senior, you can begin at any time. This junior won't resist. Lu Ming said. Lu Ming. Young master. Xian Yinqing and Autumn Moon couldn't help but cry out. They were still worried even at this point. Lu Ming, why don't you just refuse? Let's kill our way out and fight to the death. The myriad gods shouted. You don't have to worry. Senior Han Ming is an expert who has dominated the universe for countless years. Why would he care about my insignificant body? Lu Ming shook his head and smiled. Little guy, don't try to goad me into action. However, you're right. I really don't want your body. Let's begin. As soon as the Lord of the Heavenly Court spoke, his body emitted light and his eyes became incomparably bright. However, his eyes soon dimmed. This was because a ball of energy had rushed out of the Lord of the Heavenly Court's body. This was the condensation and manifestation of the Lord of the Heavenly Court's essence, vitality, and spirit. It also carried half of the forbidden power. Naturally, the Lord of the Heavenly Court wouldn't enter Lu Ming's body entirely. His body was covered by the 3rd reincarnation soul fire. The 3rd reincarnation soul fire was extremely terrifying. If it entered Lu Ming's body, Lu Ming would probably be burned alive. The ball of energy was extremely fast. In a flash, it rushed into Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming didn't resist. He allowed the Lord of the Heavenly Court to do it. As soon as the Lord of the Heavenly Court entered Lu Ming's body, it took control of Lu Ming's body. At the same time, the half of the forbidden power seeped into every cell in Lu Ming's body. Chapter 4492. However, as soon as the taboo energy seeped into Lu Ming's cells, the taboo energy in his cells began to resist. It wanted to expel the taboo energy. However, the life soul was the master of the heavenly courts. After all, his cultivation level was extremely powerful. In the past, his realm was too high. His control of the taboo power was not something that Lu Ming could compare to. He soon found a balance. The two taboo energies coexisted peacefully and resonated with each other. It was not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. The resonance of the two taboo energies had completely stimulated the hidden power of the master of the heavenly court. Moreover, without the interference of the 3 lifetime soul fire, he could unleash even more power. Very good. Now we can go out. Lu Ming's eyes shone brightly. With a wave of his hand, the ground above began to rumble, and a rift opened up in the ground. Above them, the heavenly human tribe powerhouses had been refining the protective array formation non-stop. After this period of refinement, more than half of the bronze statues had already exploded and collapsed. The remaining bronze statues were dull and lifeless, like ordinary pieces of metal. Even the 12 divine weapons were dimmed, and their auras were dispirited. It would not be long before they could completely refine the protective formation of the master of the heavenly court. Then they would be able to find the master of the heavenly court, Lu Ming, and the others. Killing intent flashed in Yi Wu's eyes. Right at that moment, the ground began to rumble as a crack appeared on the altar. The altar began to split into 2 halves. Yi Wu and the others were stunned. The protective formation had not been completely refined. How could the altar open on its own? Could it be that the master of the heavenly court knew that he could not hold on for much longer and wanted to fight with his life on the line? Get ready, Yi Wu said as he silently retreated. He was about to face the master of the heavenly court, the master of the heavenly court. It was impossible for him not to be afraid. It was better to let the others deal with him. He's already at the end of his rope. There's no need to be afraid. I can kill him with 1 blow, said an old heavenly human powerhouse among the 12 powerhouses who had set up the formation. His domineering aura caused the void to tremble and distort. This person was a genuine Lord of Heaven-level figure, incomparably powerful. Hundreds of heavenly humans stared at the altar. Soon, a crack that was several meters wide appeared on the altar, and a figure stepped out from it. It's him. That brat has a forbidden body. Yi Wu's eyes flashed with killing intent. The person who walked out was naturally Lu Ming. Following closely behind Lu Ming was Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon, and Wan Shen. Behind Xian Yanqing and the rest, Dark Night Rose, Di Jenny and the rest followed and stood in a row behind Lu Ming. So it's you little bastards. That old man Han Ming hasn't come out yet. Could it be that he's already exhausted and can't walk anymore? Is he waiting for death inside? Yi Wu sneered. When he saw that it was only Lu Ming and the rest, he became bolder. He took a few steps forward and his cold killing intent pressed towards Lu Ming and the rest. However, he was stunned and his face was filled with astonishment. This was because he had discovered that Lu Ming and the rest had made a breakthrough in their cultivation. This shocked him. Less than 3 years ago, Lu Ming and the rest were only ranked 9 Emperor God Realm cultivators. Now they had reached the Divine Master Realm. If only 1 or 2 of them had reached the Divine Master Realm, he would not be surprised. After all, Lu Ming and the rest had been ranked 9 Emperor God Realm cultivators and were not far away from the Divine Master Realm. In 3 years, it was normal for 1 or 2 people to make a breakthrough. However, Lu Ming and the rest had made a breakthrough. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon, Wan Shen, Dark Night Rose, Di Jenny, Yin Jiuling, Ling Heng and Xiao Wuji. A total of 9 people had made a breakthrough. The other 3 were slightly weaker and had not made a breakthrough yet. However, they were not far away from it. It was not normal for 9 people to make a breakthrough in one go. It seems like Han Ming did something. Han Ming must have paid a price for these people to make a breakthrough. However, does Han Ming think that it would be useful for these people to make a breakthrough? That's too naive. The Lord of Heaven sneered. 9 first-level divine masters were no different from 9 celestial thearchs in his eyes. He could kill them with a single slap. Boom. The Lord of Heaven took a step forward and a violent aura surged out. He was about to attack Lu Ming and the rest. Don't make a move first. You have to guard against Han Ming's counterattack before he dies. Leave these brats to me. Yi Wudao called out to the heavenly monarch. At the same time he took a step forward and walked towards Lu Ming and the rest. Very well. Lu Ming's eyes, or more accurately Han Ming's eyes, looked at Yi Wudao with a murderous look on his face. Kneel. Yi Wudao swooped forward like a bird. He channeled half of his forbidden energy and combined it with his ultimate heavenly energy. He threw a punch at Lu Ming. He had used 90% of his strength in this punch. He was confident that even if Lu Ming had reached the Divine Master Realm, he would be severely injured by this punch. At this moment Lu Ming made his move. Whoosh! His body trembled slightly and disappeared from the spot. In the next moment he was near Yi Wudao. He reached out his hand and grabbed at Yi Wudao. Lu Ming's hand enlarged rapidly and collided with Yi Wudao's fist energy. With a puff, Yi Wudao's fist energy was extinguished like a weak candle flame. Lu Ming's hand did not stop there. He continued to grab at Yi Wudao. Ah, impossible! Yi Wudao screamed in horror. Yi Wudao screamed in horror. He was in disbelief. His punch, which contained 90% of his strength, was easily broken by Lu Ming. How was this possible? He was shocked. He tried to retreat with all his strength, but he realized that he could not move. He was completely locked in place by Lu Ming's giant hand. "No. Who are you? You can't be so powerful. Save me. Save me." Yi Wudao screamed in shock. He did not believe that Lu Ming was so powerful. He was a peerless genius with great combat strength. Even if Lu Ming had the forbidden body, it was impossible for him to be so powerful. Yi Wudao was 2 levels higher than Lu Ming, but he could not resist Lu Ming at all. It was impossible. The Divine Master Realm was not the Divine Emperor Realm or the Divine Emperor Realm. It was easy to overcome the difference of 2 levels. Before the Divine Master Realm, it was difficult to overcome even 1 level, let alone 2. Moreover, he was as weak as a little chick. This was completely impossible. "Let go of Yi Wudao." The Lord of Heaven shouted and attacked Lu Ming with his palm. A heavenly monarch's attack was too terrifying. Xian Yinqing, Anya rose, and the others' faces paled when they saw the terrifying palm energy. They felt that they would be killed easily in the face of this attack. Chapter 4493. The Lord of Heaven. Only those who stood at the peak of Divine Master could be called the Lord of Heaven. Every single one of them was extremely powerful. They were basically invincible below reciprocity. They were far too powerful for Lu Ming and the others to contend with. Xian Yinqing, Qiu Moon, and Wan Shen's expressions changed drastically. They could not help but worry. Could the Lord of the Heavenly Court, who was controlling Lu Ming's body, really contend with a Lord of Heaven? If the Lord of the Heavenly Court was at his peak condition, they would not have any doubts. He could probably crush a Lord of Heaven with a single finger. However, the life soul of the Lord of the Heavenly Courts was already at the end of its life. Even if it controlled Lu Ming's body and made use of Lu Ming's taboo power to fuse their taboo bodies temporarily and unleash powerful potential, could it really contend with a Lord of Heaven? They really had no idea. Whoosh! At this moment Lu Ming struck out as well. He struck out with his palm, colliding with the Lord of Heaven's palm. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion rang out. After that, the 2 figures involuntarily drifted backwards. The Lord of Heaven retreated and so did Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming still held on to Yi Wu. He blocked it. Xian Yinqing and the others were overjoyed. Yi Wu and the others from the Heavenly Human Clan looked like they had seen a ghost. Their faces were filled with disbelief. Lu Ming had actually blocked an attack from a Lord of Heaven. It was like a fantasy. "You're not that kid. Who are you?" Shock flashed through the Lord of Heaven's eyes as he stared fixedly at Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming could not be bothered with him. He focused on Yi Wu. A powerful suction force erupted from his palm and enveloped Yi Wu. Yi Wu let out a miserable shriek. He could feel that half of the forbidden power in his body was about to be sucked out. Yes. The taboo power that had originally fused with all the cells in his body was now constantly surging out of his cells. It gathered together and rushed out of his body towards Lu Ming. "Han Ming, you're Han Ming?" Yi Wu roared in horror. He finally knew who the person in front of him was. It was definitely Han Ming. Only Han Ming could strip the forbidden power from his body so easily. Due to the fact that the 2 of them had grasped half of the taboo energy, they were of the same origin, making it easier for them to separate the taboo energy. If it had been anyone else, regardless of how high their cultivation was, it would have been difficult for them to do so. What? Han Ming. The rest of the Heavenly Human Tribe cultivators were shocked by Yi Wu's cry, and they stared at Lu Ming in horror. Could it be that Lu Ming had already been possessed by the soul? That must be the case. Otherwise, how could Lu Ming have become so terrifying? "Stop it, Han Ming." The Lord of Heaven cultivator shouted and charged towards Lu Ming again. This time he unleashed all of his strength. A halberd appeared in his hand, and he slashed at Lu Ming. The halberd contained a powerful heavenly annihilation power. Its power was terrifying and could destroy the world. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes and waved his hand. His fingers moved quickly as he shouted, "Calamity of Chaos." The next moment, a ray of divine light shot out from Lu Ming's finger and blasted towards the Lord of Heaven Cultivator. Boom! The two of them collided for the second time. Just like before, both of them were pushed back violently. However, this time the Lord of Heaven was pushed back less, while Lu Ming was pushed back more. Apparently, Lu Ming was at a disadvantage. Of course, this had to do with the fact that he was concentrating on extracting Yi Wu's taboo energy. At this moment, half of Yi Wu's taboo energy was about to be extracted. "Come out!" Lu Ming shouted and exerted force in his palm. With a whoosh, half of Yi Wu's taboo energy was completely extracted. It rushed into Lu Ming's body and merged with the taboo energy in Han Ming's body. Yi Wu's taboo energy originally belonged to Han Ming. The two of them were originally one. Now that they had returned, they merged perfectly. Yi Wu's eyes were filled with fear and despair. Now that Han Ming had extracted his taboo energy, the next step would be to kill him. However, Han Ming did not kill Yi Wu. Instead, he pressed his palm against Yi Wu's body. Yi Wu's body fell to the ground like a kite with a broken string, creating a large crater. Kill? The Heavenly Lord Realm Powerhouse charged toward Lu Ming again. At the same time, the other members of the Heavenly Human Tribe also launched their attacks. Numerous attacks surged toward Lu Ming. "You're courting death." Lu Ming spat out coldly. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Boom. A terrifying aura surged out of his body. This aura was many times more powerful than the Lord of Heaven's aura. The attacks from the heavenly humans immediately collapsed when they were hit by this aura. Reciprocity, the Lord of Heaven narrowed his eyes. Without any hesitation, he turned around and fled. "It's too late for you to leave now," Han Ming shouted coldly. He slammed his palm into the air. In the next moment, a huge palm appeared above the Lord of Heaven's head and pressed down on him. No matter how the Lord of Heaven tried to block it, it was useless. When the palm pressed down, the Lord of Heaven let out a miserable shriek. His body exploded and he died on the spot. An expert on the same level as the Lord of Heaven was killed just like that. The other heavenly humans were scared out of their wits. They felt a chill run down their spines. "Let's go." In the next moment, some of the faster ones turned around and tried to escape. Kill. Lu Ming's eyes were cold. With a wave of his hand, beams of divine light flew out. 7 or 8 heavenly humans were struck by the divine light. They turned to dust and dissipated in the air. Turned to dust. These heavenly humans were all 4th-layer divine masters or higher. They were also the ones who had set up the array to protect Han Ming. Now they had all been killed by Han Ming. However, after killing these people, Han Ming did not continue to attack. Lu Ming's body glowed and a ball of light shot out. It was Han Ming. He brought the strand of forbidden energy with him as he charged down the crack in the altar. In the next moment, a powerful aura erupted from the bottom of the altar. A figure charged out. It was Han Ming himself. After obtaining the complete forbidden energy, Han Ming's strength skyrocketed. The 3 lifetime fire soul on his body seemed to have dimmed. It was suppressed by Han Ming's forbidden energy. "Life Soul Origin Stone, gather." Han Ming shouted as he grabbed the air with his hand. Lu Ming immediately felt the Life Soul Origin Stone fragment in his mind fly out of his control. "Ah, Lu Ming, save me." Shiling, who was in the Life Soul Origin Stone fragment, screamed. However, Lu Ming could not help him. The Life Soul Origin Stone fragment was completely out of his control. It was not only his. The Life Soul Origin Stone fragments on Anya Rose, Di Jianyi, and Xiao Wuji also flew out and flew into Han Ming's hand. At the same time, the Life Soul Origin Stone fragments flew out of Yi Wu's body. Chapter 4494. A total of more than 20 fragments of the Life Spirit Origin Stone flew into Han Ming's palm. In the end, they gathered into a complete crystal. This was a complete Life Spirit Origin Stone. It emitted a dazzling light that captured one's soul. A complete Life Spirit Origin Stone. "Wait, no, Ling Yue?" Suddenly Lu Ming's expression changed drastically. He thought of Ling Yue. Ling Yue also had a fragment of the Life Spirit Origin Stone in her hands. Now, a complete Life Spirit Origin Stone had appeared. This meant that all the fragments of the Life Spirit Origin Stone had arrived. However, in the Life Spirit Heavenly Court, Lu Ming did not meet Ling Yue. And just now, Other than Lu Ming, Dark Knight Rose and the others, the remaining fragments of the Life Spirit Origin Stone had all flown out from Yi Wu's body. Didn't this mean that Ling Yue's Life Spirit Origin Stone fragment was also on Yi Wu's body? Could it be that Ling Yue had also come to the Life Spirit Heavenly Court, only to encounter a heavenly human race expert and be killed by him, and the fragments of the Life Spirit Origin Stone were taken away? Thinking of this, Lu Ming's heart couldn't help but tremble. He was panicking. He was really panicking. At this moment, the complete Life Spirit Origin Stone flew into the space between Han Ming's eyebrows. Immediately, strands of divine light spread out from Han Ming's body. The moment these divine lights appeared, the three-world fire soul on the surface of his body became even dimmer. At the same time, his shriveled body became a little fuller, and his original appearance could be vaguely seen. This was a middle-aged man with a tall and sturdy physique. As his eyes opened and closed, they were filled with a domineering aura. My treasure has been buried here with me for countless years. Now it's time for it to appear, the Life Spirit Heavenly Court's Lord whispered as his palm made a grabbing motion in the air. This time, the direction of his palm was the cracked altar. At this moment, in the underground space, the altar that Han Ming had been sitting cross-legged on exploded with a loud bang. 3 rays of light flew out from it and flew to Han Ming's surroundings, circling around him non-stop. Everyone saw that there were 3 treasures. The first was a ring. The second was a battle sword. The third was a set of armor. Every single one of the treasures exuded an extremely shocking aura. Everyone couldn't help but widen their eyes as their breathing quickened. Could these 3 treasures be the 3 most precious treasures of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court? Legend had it that the Life Soul Heavenly Court had 4 supreme treasures. They were all top treasures in the primitive universe. With the addition of the Life Spirit Vitality Stone, wouldn't there be exactly 4 of them? The Life Spirit, the Lord of the Heavenly Court, waved its hand. The battle sword and armor flew into his body and disappeared. Only the ring remained outside. I'll take the 9 Tribulations sword and 9 Tribulations armor with me. They're of great use to me. Lu Ming, I'll leave the Ancient Desolation ring to you. It'll be useful to you. Also, I'll leave these divine weapons to you. The voice of the Life Spirit, the Lord of the Heavenly Court, rang out. Before it finished speaking, it had already shot up into the sky, intending to leave this place. Senior, wait. Lu Ming shouted. He had one question that he had yet to ask, and that was about Ling Yue. He wanted to ask the Master of the Life Soul Heavenly Court if Ling Yue was alright and if she had come with the Life Soul Origin Stone fragment. Lu Ming, hurry up and cultivate. We'll meet again. Han Ming's voice rang out in the sky. Then his figure completely disappeared. Senior. No matter how Lu Ming called out, Han Ming did not respond. Only the Ancient Desolation ring was still floating in the air, emitting endless temptation. Many people's eyes fell on the Ancient Desolation ring. Dark Knight Rose, Di Jinni, Yin Jioling and hundreds of heavenly human tribesmen. Han Ming had only killed 7 or 8 of the strongest heavenly human tribesmen. He did not kill the rest of them. Although these heavenly human tribesmen were almost scared to death and ran away frantically, they did not run far away. They had clearly seen what had happened just now. At this moment, their eyes fell on the Ancient Desolation ring, revealing intense greed. Han Ming left? Yes, he left the Ancient Desolation ring. The Ancient Desolation ring is one of the 4 supreme treasures of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. We must get it. It's mine. Suddenly, hundreds of heavenly human tribesmen rushed towards the Ancient Desolation ring. They were not the only ones. Dark Knight Rose, Di Jinni and the rest were the same. This Han Ming? At this moment, Lu Ming was speechless. It was fine that he did not answer his question. Before he left, he said that he wanted to give him the Ancient Desolation ring. However, why did he leave the Ancient Desolation ring in the sky for everyone to see? Was this a test for Lu Ming? Lu Ming could only suppress his worry for Ling Yue and shift his attention to the Ancient Desolation ring. No matter what, he must obtain a supreme treasure like the Ancient Desolation ring. Moreover, the Ancient Desolation ring was originally given to him by Han Ming. Bang! Lu Ming stomped hard on the ground and his body soared into the sky. He pounced toward the Chaos Ring at an alarming speed. At the same time, Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon and Wan Shen also took action. They followed closely behind Lu Ming and rushed towards the Ancient Desolation ring. They were not here to fight for the Ancient Desolation ring, but to help Lu Ming obtain the Ancient Desolation ring. Kill? Scram. Before they even arrived, all sorts of attacks were already flying towards the others. Lu Ming's group also faced a bunch of attacks, most of which came from the heavenly human tribesmen. 3 third-level divine lords. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He discovered that there were 3 third-level divine lords among the heavenly human tribesmen. Third-level divine lords of the heavenly human tribesmen were extremely powerful. Even though Lu Ming's group had already broken through to the divine lord realm, they still had to treat them with caution. Heaven-breaking style. Lu Ming shouted. A spear quickly condensed in his hand, turning into a dazzling ray of light that shot towards one of the third-level divine lords. Bang! The spear light trembled and was shattered. However, the third-level divine lord's attack was also blocked. Dark Knight Rose, Xian Yanqing and the others used their trump cards to block the attacks of the others. Kill! Lu Ming bellowed. Without stopping, the Bingxian Rod appeared and a massive amount of taboo energy surged into the Bingxian Rod. The Bingxian Rod expanded rapidly and charged toward one of the third-tier Divine Master experts. Boom! The third-level Divine Lord was sent flying like a cannonball, blood spurting from his mouth. One had to admit that third-level Divine Lords were truly powerful. They were much stronger than second-level Divine Lords. Even though Lu Ming had broken through to the Divine Lord realm, he still couldn't instantly kill them. The main reason was that the gap between each level of the Divine Lord realm was too great. For example, if the gap between each level of the Divine Lord realm was 1 point, then the gap between the 9th level of the God Emperor realm and the 1st level of the Divine Lord realm was 1.5 points. Although Lu Ming had broken through from the 9th level of the God Emperor realm to the 1st level of the Divine Lord realm, his ability to fight those above his level did not increase as much after reaching the Divine Lord realm. Of course, compared to the God Emperor realm, his improvement was still significant. This was because the gap between each level of the God Emperor realm was only about 0.2 points. Chapter 4495. When Lu Ming was at the 9th level of the God Emperor realm, he could easily suppress a 1st-level God Lord with his full strength, but he was no match for a 2nd-level God Lord. Even if he used the mysterious ice staff, he was no match for a 2nd-level God Lord, especially one from the celestial race. All he could do was flee. Thus, now that he had broken through to the 1st level of the God Lord realm, killing a 2nd-level God Lord wasn't difficult at all. It was even easier than killing a 1st-level God Lord when he was at the 9th level of the God Emperor realm. Even when facing a 3rd-level Divine Master, Lu Ming could easily suppress the other party. However, it would not be that easy to kill them. Kill? Lu Ming let out a long howl and continued to attack. He was like an invincible god of war. The Bingxian cudgel swept out continuously. He was like an invincible god of war. Bam! 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 Lu Ming struck several celestial race experts in succession. A 2nd-level God Lord screamed as his body was torn apart and he died. 2 other 1st-level God Lords were also killed, their bodies and souls annihilated. The other celestial race experts felt a chill in their hearts. They didn't dare approach Lu Ming and retreated. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared next to the primordial ring. A devouring power enveloped the primordial ring. It was Dark Knight Rose. Dark Knight Rose suddenly appeared next to the primordial ring, her devouring power erupting as she tried to take the primordial ring. However, a black lotus shot toward her with astonishing power. Dark Knight Rose had no choice but to focus and block it. She sent the black lotus flying, but she also retreated. Dark Knight Rose, Han Ming left this primordial ring for Lu Ming. Do you want to take it? Xian Yanqing coldly said as he took a step forward, pressing toward Dark Knight Rose. This primordial ring doesn't recognize Lu Ming as its master. Anyone who sees it has a share. Dark Knight Rose replied. She transformed into the heaven-devouring rose and exchanged several blows with Xian Yanqing. The two of them were very familiar with each other, so it was naturally not that easy to determine the victor. For a moment they were in a stalemate. Instead, the other 2 third-stage Divine Master Heavenly Humans charged toward the Chaos Ring. No one could stop them. Wan Xin, Autumn Moon, Emperor Jianyi, and the others were all sent flying. Kill? Lu Ming roared as the mysterious ice staff pressed down on the 2 third-layer Divine Master Celestial Race powerhouses with the momentum of Mount Tai. The mysterious ice rod was so huge that it filled the entire sky. It was like a vast mountain range as it crossed the void and blasted toward the 2 third-level Divine Master Heavenly Humans. The 2 third-level Divine Master Heavenly Humans were sent flying. Lu Ming was unstoppable. With a few flashes, he appeared beside the Great Desolate Ring. He reached out and grabbed the Great Desolate Ring. Damn it! When the heavenly human tribe saw that Lu Ming had obtained the Chaos Ring, their hearts were filled with envy and jealousy. After the Dark Knight rose and Xian Yinqing exchanged a blow, they separated. When they looked at Lu Ming, they were very jealous and envious. This was one of the 4 supreme treasures of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. The master of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court had taken away the other 3 supreme treasures. Only the Chaos Ring remained. Now the only supreme treasure was in Lu Ming's hands. But suddenly, powerful ripples came from the ground below as powerful auras spread out. Following this, 10 or so rays of light shot out in all directions. It's the guardian divine weapons of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. After them. I must get one. Everyone was alarmed and chased after those beams of light. These beams of light were the 12 guardian divine weapons. Everyone's attention had been completely drawn to the Chaos Ring, so they had almost forgotten about the 12 guardian divine weapons. At this moment, the 12 guardian divine weapons began to vibrate on their own, as if they wanted to break through the air. Everyone finally reacted and flew toward the 12 divine weapons. Autumn Moon had her eyes on a soft whip. She flew up and pounced toward it. Wan Xin pounced toward a halberd. Xian Yinqing pounced toward a silver mace. Lu Ming pounced toward a long spear. The others, such as Dark Knight Rose and Di Jinni, also had their own weapons and pounced toward them. For example, Di Jinni naturally had his eyes on a battle sword. The heavenly human tribe's 3rd tier and 2nd tier divine master experts also pounced toward the weapons. There were a total of 12 guardian divine weapons. Many people had their eyes on each of them and were fighting over them. Of course, the heavenly human tribe had the most people. Many heavenly human tribe members had their eyes on each of the guardian divine weapons. Kill. Lu Ming shouted, his killing intent cold. He did not show any mercy as he swung his mysterious ice rod. Rod shadows appeared and blasted toward the heavenly human tribe members. There was no 3rd tier divine master among them. The strongest one was only a 1st tier divine master. The others were all 9th tier divine masters. How could they stop Lu Ming? Under the rod shadows, these heavenly human tribe experts exploded one by one, their souls scattering. This wave of attacks killed dozens of heavenly human tribe members, including the 1st tier divine master expert. The others were terrified and did not dare to compete with Lu Ming. They quickly retreated and rushed toward the other guardian divine weapons. Lu Ming grabbed the long spear with one hand. Great. Lu Ming was delighted. He swung the long spear a few times and felt that it was very comfortable. The long spear was still more comfortable. He had been using the long spear all this time. He had no choice in the past as he did not have a suitable long spear weapon. He could only make do with the mysterious ice rod. In fact, the mysterious ice rod was not as comfortable as the long spear. Moreover, his first move, the sky-breaking move, was a spear technique. With the mysterious ice rod, it was very difficult to unleash its power. However, with this long spear it was different. The heaven-breaking style could unleash a very strong power. However, he had not refined it yet, so he could not use it. Lu Ming put the long spear away. Autumn Moon. Lu Ming looked in the direction of Autumn Moon, his face darkening. Autumn Moon's opponent was a 3rd tier divine master expert of the heavenly human tribe. Autumn Moon was no match for a 3rd tier divine master expert. Autumn Moon had broken through to the divine master realm, and with her strength she could easily suppress a 2nd tier divine master. However, she lacked a source-level divine weapon. In terms of fighting strength, there was still a big gap between her and Wan Xin, Xian Yinqing and Dark Knight Rose. She was no match for a 3rd tier divine master. Bam! Autumn Moon coughed up blood and retreated into the distance. The 3rd tier divine master of the heavenly human tribe waved his hand, sweeping up the soft whip and putting it into his storage ring. Then his figure flashed as he charged at Autumn Moon, unleashing a destructive sword light. He wanted to exterminate Qiuyu. You're courting death. Lu Ming roared as he activated the greater extreme light art. His body seemed to turn into an aurora, and in a flash he appeared near Autumn Moon and swept out with the mysterious ice rod. Clang. The mysterious ice rod shattered the opponent's destructive sword light, and the attack did not stop as it continued to bombard the opponent. The opponent was sent flying like a cannonball, coughing up blood. Chapter 4496. Lu Ming injured a 3rd-level Divine Master Heavenly Human with one move. His figure did not stop at all as he continued to charge toward the other party. This person had wanted to kill Qiu Moon, so Lu Ming had placed him on his must-kill list. The third-level Divine Lord paled and hastily retreated into the midst of the other heavenly humans. He wanted to use the other heavenly humans as a shield. Kill? Lu Ming roared, his killing intent surging as he pushed forward. The heavenly humans in his way exploded, their bodies and souls annihilated. Lu Ming's speed was not affected at all, and he quickly closed the distance between him and the heavenly human expert. Swish. With all his strength, Lu Ming threw out the mysterious ice staff. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The mysterious ice staff pierced through space, whistling through the air as it smashed toward the other party. Fast, it was too fast. The other party did not even have time to dodge, so he could only do his best to block. The power of a third-level Divine Lord was fully unleashed. The heavenly annihilation power, one of the strongest heavenly powers, was fully unleashed, transforming into a gray sword light that slashed at the mysterious ice staff. Boom. There was a heaven-shaking explosion as boundless energy erupted from the point of collision, spreading out in all directions. Some of the heavenly humans with weaker cultivations who had not retreated in time were killed in midair. Then a figure retreated, coughing up large mouthfuls of blood. It was the third-level Divine Lord of the heavenly human race. Heaven-sundering style. The moment Lu Ming threw out the mysterious ice staff, he used the heaven-sundering style. As the heavenly human expert retreated, Lu Ming's attack also erupted. Swish. His entire body transformed into a spear of light that pierced through space, thrusting toward the third-level Divine Lord of the heavenly human race. This person had just been injured by Lu Ming and was forced to retreat. There was no way he could dodge or resist. The spear gleam transformed from Lu Ming's body pierced through the man's glabella. The terrifying power not only destroyed his sea of consciousness and soul, but it also destroyed his dantian completely, killing a third-tier Divine Master expert. Lu Ming rushed over. The spear light disappeared and his figure reappeared. He was already holding a storage ring in his hand. It was the storage ring of the heavenly human race cultivator. In a flash, Lu Ming appeared beside Autumn Moon. Autumn Moon, are you okay? Lu Ming asked with concern. Young master, I'm fine. It's just a minor injury. Thank you for saving me. Chiu Autumn Moon said. At this moment, her complexion was much better. She was no longer pale. Silly girl, why are you being so polite with me? Here. Lu Ming said as he handed the storage ring of the heavenly human tribe member to Autumn Moon. Then he looked around at the battle situation. At this moment, Xian Yinqing and Wan Xin had both obtained the divine weapons they wanted. With their fighting strength, this was not surprising. Both of them were in control of powerful weapons like origin-grade divine weapons. If they unleashed their full power, it would be easy for them to kill a heavenly human expert of the second level of the Divine Master Realm. They could even fight a heavenly human expert of the third level of the Divine Master Realm. If Xian Yinqing used his origin energy and unleashed his strongest attack, even third-level Divine Lord heavenly human race experts would not be his match. On the other side, Dark Knight Rose, Di Jinni, Ling Heng, and Yin Jiuling all obtained the divine weapons they wanted. There were also two third-stage Divine Lord experts from the celestial race who had obtained a divine weapon each. In this way there were only 2 divine weapons left out of the 12. A group of people surrounded the last 2 divine weapons and fought crazily. At this moment, Xian Yinqing, Wan Xin, Dark Knight Rose, and the 2 third-level Divine Lord heavenly human race experts all rushed toward the last 2 divine weapons. Swish. Lu Ming took a step forward and rushed toward the last 2 divine weapons like a beam of light. Oh no! Seeing Lu Ming charging toward them, all of the heavenly human race experts were shocked. Lu Ming's fighting strength was too strong. Everyone had seen how he had killed the third-level Divine Lord heavenly human race expert. No one present was Lu Ming's match. The heavenly human race experts were furious and unwilling to accept this. If not for the fact that the 4th-level Divine Lord heavenly race experts had been killed by the Life Spirit Master of the Heavenly Court, any one of them could easily suppress Lu Ming. How could Lu Ming be so arrogant now? But now they had no choice but to retreat when they saw Lu Ming charging toward them. Set up the formation to deal with them, roared a 3rd-level Divine Lord heavenly human race expert. He wanted to set up the 9 Heavens battle formation to deal with Lu Ming's group. The heavenly human race had nearly 4 Divine Lord heavenly human race experts and more than 209th level Divine Lord heavenly race experts. After setting up the 9 Heavens battle formation, its power would be astonishing. The heavenly human race experts immediately began to set up the formation. Great sealing art. Lu Ming thrust out his palm. Dense runes covered the void and intertwined together to form ribbons that climbed up the bodies of the heavenly human race experts and sealed them. Heavenly Demon Field. At the same time, Xian Yinqing also attacked. He used the Heavenly Demon Field to envelop the Heavenly Human Race experts and prevent them from setting up the formation. The Heavenly Human Race experts were greatly restricted by the Heavenly Demon Field. For a moment, they couldn't set up the Nine Heavens battle formation. Suddenly the expressions of Lu Ming, Xian Yinqing and the others changed. Because a terrifying force suddenly came from the ground, crushing toward Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing. It was a fist energy formed by countless tiny lightning bolts. It was the power of heavenly punishment. Wherever the fist energy passed, the void collapsed. Lu Ming didn't hesitate. He waved the mysterious ice rod and attacked. At the same time, Xian Yinqing also attacked. He controlled the origin-grade divine weapon, Black Lotus, and it pressed down like a mountain. Boom, boom. The two weapons collided with the fist energy of heavenly punishment. However, the result was that the two weapons shook violently and were thrown into the air. Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing were also thrown into the air by the strong recoil. Lu Ming retreated for 100 miles before he steadied himself. He waved his hand and the mysterious ice rod returned to his hand. However, his qi and blood were in turmoil. Xian Yinqing was in a worse condition. Her face was pale and blood was seeping out of the corner of her mouth. She was clearly injured. Yi Wu, Lu Ming muttered. His face was gloomy. At this moment, a burly figure stepped into the air and slowly rose to the sky. This person was Yi Wu. Lord Yi Wu. It's Lord Yi Wu. That's great. Lord Yi Wu is fine. Ha ha ha, we can turn the tables. The Heavenly Human Race experts were ecstatic when they saw Yi Wu. Previously, Yi Wu was captured by the life spirit of the Heavenly Court. Half of his forbidden energy was extracted and he was smashed to the ground. Everyone thought that Yi Wu had been killed by the life spirit of the Heavenly Court. Now it seemed that Yi Wu was fine. He wasn't injured at all and his aura was still very strong. Chapter 4497. What is Han Ming thinking? Is he really trying to test me? Lu Ming was speechless when he saw Yi Wu. He was willing to bet that Han Ming had done this on purpose. With Han Ming's cultivation base, there was no way he didn't know that Yi Wu was still alive. He must have let him go on purpose. There were other heavenly humans as well. With Han Ming's strength, it would be easy for him to kill them all. However, he only killed 7 or 8 of the strongest heavenly humans. This was definitely on purpose. Otherwise, he could have just given the Chaos Ring to Lu Ming. He even said it so loudly so that everyone could hear. It was hard to understand why someone like Han Ming would do things so strangely. At this moment, Han Ming's gaze fell on Lu Ming, Xian Yinqing, Anya Rose, and the others. His eyes were filled with boundless killing intent. He was indeed injured by Han Ming earlier, but he didn't know why Han Ming didn't kill him. In fact, Han Ming didn't even seriously injure him. He had been healing himself on the ground. Of course, there was another reason why he waited until now to make a move. He was afraid. He was afraid that Han Ming wouldn't go far. He was afraid that Han Ming would suddenly come back. Until just now, he finally made a move. Firstly, Han Ming had been gone for a while and hadn't shown up. He must have really left. Secondly, if he didn't make a move, Lu Ming and the others would have taken all the treasures. First, it was the Chaos Ring. Now, it was the sacred weapon. Both of them were precious treasures. If Lu Ming and the others got the treasures and left, he would vomit blood. Therefore, he couldn't help but make a move. Meanwhile, the other heavenly humans weren't just standing around. Just now, Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing were sent flying by Yi Wu. Naturally, the Great Seal and Heavenly Demon territory were broken. The heavenly humans moved quickly and set up 9 battle formations. Kill? The heavenly humans shouted. They formed a huge battle sword and slashed at Anya Rose, Wan Shen, and the others. Anya Rose, Wan Shen, and the others wanted to take the last 2 sacred weapons. Their expressions changed drastically. They couldn't care less about the sacred weapons. They quickly retreated to avoid the attack. Following this, the Celestial Race's 9 Heavens battle formation released a powerful energy and grabbed at the last 2 divine weapons. The Celestial Race put away the last 2 divine weapons and temporarily placed them in the hands of 2 third-layer Divine Lord experts. Now that Han Ming isn't here, who can save you? Yi Wu swept his cold gaze over Lu Ming, Xian Yinqing, and the rest. In the end, his gaze landed on Lu Ming. His eyes were filled with murderous intent, greed, and desire. No, maybe all of this is a blessing and not a curse for me. I already have enough experience in fusing with taboo energy. I'll capture you, bring you back to the Heavenly Palace, and extract your taboo energy. Then I'll be able to fuse with a complete taboo energy, haha. Yi Wu sneered. He took a step toward Lu Ming. His aura became stronger and stronger. Boom. Boom. He punched out with both fists. The heavenly punishment energy turned into fist energy and bombarded Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing. Ah! Lu Ming shouted. He waved the obsidian staff and attacked continuously. The sky was filled with staff shadows. Xian Yanqing also attacked with all his strength. He controlled the Black Lotus. The petals of the Black Lotus flew out. Each petal turned into a powerful weapon and flew toward Yi Wu. The attacks of the two sides collided in the air, creating a violent shockwave. However, Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing were still no match for Yi Wu. They were forced to retreat. This guy is really strong. Even without the forbidden energy, Lu Ming's mind raced. Yi Wu was definitely a top genius. He was extremely powerful. If he was in the Divine Emperor realm, his combat strength would not be weaker than the average heavenly princess. Otherwise, he would not have been able to successfully fuse with half of the forbidden energy. Therefore, although he was also a third-level divine master, his combat strength was much stronger than the other third-level divine masters of the heavenly human tribe. On the other side, the 9 heavens battle formation set up by the other heavenly human tribe members did not stay idle. They formed a huge heavenly human tribe king. He held a huge battle sword. When he swung the battle sword, the sky was filled with sword energy. The sword energy slashed toward Anya Rose, Di Jianyi, Wan Shen, and Autumn Moon. Other than Xian Yanqing and Lu Ming, everyone was enveloped in the sword energy. Anya Rose, Wan Shen, and the others gave up fighting and joined forces. However, they were still no match for Yi Wu. They were forced to retreat. On Anya Rose's side, one of the geniuses was careless and had his forehead pierced by a sword energy. He died instantly. A top genius was killed just like that. The 9 heavens battle formation of the heavenly human tribe contained 2 third-level divine masters, 7 second-level divine masters, and nearly 200 ninth-level divine emperors. These were all seniors who had cultivated for many years and were very powerful. When they set up the 9 heavens battle formation together, its power was even more shocking. It was not something that Anya Rose and the others could fight against. Seeing this, Yi Wu's smile widened. So what if you have the treasure? In the end it will fall into my hands. Little bastards, I'll send you on your way. Yi Wu sneered. A gray energy appeared on his left hand. This was the heavenly extermination energy. Obviously, Yi Wu also controlled 2 types of heavenly powers. He held the heavenly punishment energy in one hand and the heavenly extermination energy in the other. He charged toward Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing again. Battle Character Manual, 8 times Combat Strength. Lu Ming shouted in his mind. In his sea of consciousness, the Battle Character Manual gave off a hazy glow. The power in Lu Ming's body increased by another notch. This was 8 times the combat strength of the Battle Character Manual. That's right. For such a long time, Lu Ming's cultivation had not only been focused on comprehending his secret skills and improving his cultivation level. Whenever he had time, he would also comprehend the Battle Character Manual. He could have triggered the Battle Character Manual to increase his combat strength by 7 times a long time ago. Even if the Battle Character Manual increased his combat strength by 8 times, there was still a 10% chance of triggering it. He had been trying to trigger it earlier and had finally succeeded. Boom. The mysterious ice rod became extremely large and smashed toward Yi Wu. At the same time, Xian Yanqing also attacked. The heavenly punishment energy and heavenly extermination energy collided with the mysterious ice rod and the Black Lotus, turning the void into a chaotic mess. The energy blasted the ground, causing it to explode continuously. The ancient buildings crumbled one after another. If the Life Spirit Heavenly Court had been at its peak, their attack power would not have been able to destroy the buildings or cause any damage. However, after such a long time, the Life Spirit Heavenly Court had become much weaker and was about to decay. But soon, Xian Yanqing retreated, blood flowing from his mouth. Although Lu Ming had blocked most of the force, Yi Wu's combat strength had increased after using 2 types of heavenly powers. He was no longer someone Xian Yanqing could fight against. Even Lu Ming's blood was boiling. On the other side, Wan Shen, Autumn Moon, and the others were in even more danger. They had been forced to the point where they could not fight back. All they could do was defend. Moreover, even if they defended, they did not feel like they could last much longer. Chapter 4498. Xian Yanqing, come and help us. Otherwise, if we die, you won't be able to leave either. Dark Knight Rose shouted. She and Xian Yanqing could only fight against the Nine Heavens battle formation if they worked together. They couldn't fight against the heavenly human race's Nine Heavens battle formation alone. Xian Yanqing hesitated. She wanted to stay and help Lu Ming, but on the other side the 10,000 gods and Autumn Moon were in danger. If she didn't work together with Dark Knight Rose, the 10,000 gods and Autumn Moon would be in danger. Little Qing, go and work with her. Lu Ming sent a message to Xian Yanqing. But this guy... Xian Yanqing looked at Yi Wu. Yi Wu was too strong. She was afraid that Lu Ming wouldn't be able to stop him alone. Don't worry. I still have a trump card that I haven't used yet. I might even be able to kill him. Lu Ming sent a message to Xian Yanqing. He still had a trump card that he hadn't used yet. Of course it wasn't Qiu Qiu. Qiu Qiu was only at the 9th level of the Divine God realm. Lu Ming wouldn't let him fight. As for Guo, he couldn't help much either. His trump card was his origin energy and the second move of his self-created secret technique, the Desolate Style. There was also the Purple Copper Coffin. Lu Ming would take out the Purple Copper Coffin if he couldn't do it. However, the Purple Copper Coffin was too strange. Ever since his past self was sucked into the Purple Copper Coffin, he had been traumatized by it. He didn't want to take out the Purple Copper Coffin unless he had no other choice. Also, taking out the Purple Copper Coffin at the drop of a hat would not help him train. Seeing Lu Ming's confident expression, Xian Yanqing finally nodded and flew toward Dark Knight Rose. You still want to help? Do you think I'm not here? Yi Wu shouted coldly. A battle sword appeared in his hand. It was also a top-tier divine weapon. He slashed it towards Xian Yanqing. However, Lu Ming had his eyes on Yi Wu from the start. As soon as Yi Wu moved, Lu Ming moved as well. He swept the Bingxian staff horizontally and blocked Yi Wu's sword. You still want to stop Shaoqing? Do you think I don't exist? Lu Ming followed suit and said coldly. Ha ha. Yi Wu laughed coldly and said, so what if we let her go? Would they be able to fight against the Nine Heavens battle formation with her help? How naive. However, he was immediately rendered speechless. This was because Xian Yanqing had already arrived and was cooperating with Dark Knight Rose to perform a joint attack. A black lotus and a heaven-devouring rose, one on top and one on the bottom, exploded with astonishing field energy, enveloping the entire Nine Heavens battle formation. The power of the field energy had an incomparably powerful destructive power. Ordinary experts would be turned into ashes in an instant if they were inside it. Now Xian Yanqing and Dark Knight Rose had both broken through to the Divine Master realm. Chapter 4500. Lu Ming caught up with the other third-tier Divine Master expert and directly used the heaven-breaking move, piercing through the person's dantian and crippling his cultivation. The two third-level Divine Master realm experts from the heavenly human tribe were killed instantly. They couldn't resist Lu Ming's attack at all. Not far away, Anya Rose, Di Jinny, Ling Heng, and the others saw this and their faces were solemn. Their eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. Lu Ming's fighting power is getting more and more terrifying. No one can stop him. If Yi Qiuxin can't catch up, he will be left behind. It's the sorrow of other geniuses to be born in the same era as him. Ling Heng sighed. He was originally the number one on the universe genius list, overlooking countless geniuses in the universe. Not many of the previous number one on the universe genius list were as powerful as him. He used to be confident that he wouldn't be afraid even if it was the heavenly human tribe's heavenly princess. In the history of the universe, how many people could fight against the heavenly sons and heavenly daughters? He was high-spirited and thought that there were only a handful of people in the universe who could match him. He could only look for them in the heavenly human tribe. However, the battle in Taishang Immortal City had a huge impact on him. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Anya Rose, Wan Shun, one after another, they weren't from the heavenly human tribe but they displayed terrifying strength. All of them were stronger and more powerful than him. In addition, Di Jinny, Yin Jioling, Autumn Moon, Bubbles, and the others were all outstanding geniuses in the universe. They weren't any weaker than him. This made him realize that he had been a frog in a well. That was why he joined Dark Knight Rose in the end, all for the sake of becoming stronger. Now that he saw Lu Ming's fighting power, he felt a sense of helplessness. How could he catch up with such a freak? How could he surpass him? Crack. Jinny clenched his fists and his face was filled with unwillingness. Lu Ming's rise is unstoppable. Don't offend him in the future. Now let's leave quickly. This place has nothing to do with us. Dark Knight Rose's voice rang in Jinny, Ling Hang, Yin Jioling and the others' ears. Then their figures flickered and disappeared. Lu Ming knew that Dark Knight Rose and the others had left, but he didn't stop them. After Lu Ming suppressed the 2 third-layer Divine Master existences, he didn't stop at all. He continued to attack the other members of the heavenly human race. With a wave of his hand, the heavenly humans were crushed to the ground like raindrops, and they all spat out mouthfuls of blood. However, Lu Ming didn't kill these heavenly humans. He still had questions for them. Myriad God and Autumn Moon joined forces to suppress the heavenly human tribe members. Because Xian Yanqing had lost too much power, he was already powerless to attack. The space-time spirit rats and the world turtle clan want to join forces with the Heaven Destroyer? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. This was beyond his expectations. That's right. In fact, you don't know. The space-time spirit rats have long wanted to join forces with us, but they haven't made up their minds. This time we forced them to make a decision. After receiving the news from the 2 clans, Senior Fei Huang and the others went to support the 2 clans as they retreated to the universe ruins. With many senior experts supporting them, I think the 2 clans will be fine, Yiling said. Hearing this, Lu Ming breathed a sigh of relief. The 2 clans were one step ahead of time and passed the news to the Heaven Destroyer. With Fei Huang and the others supporting them, they should be fine and could safely retreat to the universe ruins. This was even better. Now Lu Ming and the Heavenly Palace were on opposite sides. They would not rest until one of them was dead. As for Dandan, his relationship with Bubbles had always been a big rock in his heart. He was afraid that the Heavenly Palace would deal with Dandan and Bubbles because of him. Now that the 2 clans had joined forces with the Heaven Destroyer and arrived at the universe ruins, they did not have to be afraid that the heavenly human race would deal with Bubbles and Dandan. Lu Ming, you guys can wait here with peace of mind. I believe that it won't be long before Senior Fei Huang and the others return, Yiling said. Lu Ming nodded. Then Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon, and Wan Xin returned to their residence. The 4 of them took out their god weapons and began to refine them. Without refining them, it was difficult to control and exert their power. Lu Ming also took out his long spear. The long spear was golden as if it was cast from gold. Lu Ming played with it for a while and showed a satisfied look. He still preferred the spear type of weapon. It was time for the Ice Mystic Rod to retire. Immediately, Lu Ming began to refine it. With Lu Ming's current cultivation, it was not difficult to refine the long spear. Soon after, it was refined by Lu Ming. Chapter 4502. War God Spear. After refining the golden spear, a name automatically appeared in Lu Ming's mind. It was the name of the spear. Swoosh, swoosh. Lu Ming held the spear in his hand and stabbed it a few times, piercing a few pitch-black holes in the space. However, Lu Ming had excellent control of his power. The space was pierced but there wasn't much movement. Soon, the pitch-black holes in the space automatically healed and disappeared. Then, with a thought, the War God Spear turned into a ray of light and flew into Lu Ming's sea of consciousness. The next moment, a ring appeared in Lu Ming's hand. The Great Desolation Ring. Lu Ming's eyes shone brightly. This was one of the 4 supreme treasures of the Heavenly Court. How mysterious would it be if it was above the 18 divine weapons? Lu Ming began to refine it. A day later, Lu Ming stopped refining. His face was a little surprised. It's so difficult to refine. It's many times harder than the divine weapons, Lu Ming muttered, but his eyes were filled with joy. The harder it was to refine, the more mysterious the Great Desolation Ring was. Continue. Lu Ming continued to refine it and the forbidden power was constantly injected into the Great Desolation Ring. Just like that, a few more days passed and Lu Ming finally refined the Great Desolation Ring. Lu Ming quickly probed with his spirit sense. The next moment, Lu Ming appeared on a boundless continent. This is... Lu Ming opened his eyes wide. This was naturally formed by his spirit sense, but there was no difference between his senses and his body. What entered his eyes was a boundless continent. There was actually a continent inside the Great Desolation Ring. This continent exuded an unbelievable aura. Ancient, grand, vast, majestic, heavy. Lu Ming felt that it was difficult to find words to describe this continent. Moreover, the aura that this continent gave him was very similar to the universe ruins and the Taishang Immortal City. However, whether it was the universe ruins or the Grand Supreme Immortal City, their auras were not as strong as this continent. Could this be the Great Desolate Continent? Lu Ming suddenly had a thought. He was somewhat flabbergasted. At the same time he was shocked by his own thoughts. The primeval continent was hidden in this world? That's impossible. Wasn't the Great Desolate Continent destroyed in the last era? Lu Ming immediately rejected this idea. The reason for that was because even though the continent in the Great Desolation Ring was enormous and appeared to be boundless, there was actually a limit to it. Lu Ming had already refined the Great Desolation Ring. As the owner of the Great Desolation Ring, he could clearly sense the size of this continent. The area of this continent was very large, 10 times larger than the Dragon Clan's mother planet. However, it was definitely not the Great Desolate Continent of the previous epoch. In the previous era, the Eldritch Continent contained all the stars and energy in the universe ruins and the Eldritch universe. It was so huge that it was comparable to many Dragon Mother planets. No, it's not the Great Desolate Continent. Perhaps it was refined from the fragments of the Great Desolate Continent? Lu Ming guessed in his heart. This ring was called the Great Desolation Ring, which explained a lot of things. However, everything was just Lu Ming's guess. There was no other information. He would have to ask the life spirit of the Heavenly Court in the future. What a rich energy. Is this energy the Great Desolation Chi? Lu Ming muttered and observed carefully. This continent was filled with rich energy. This energy was very similar to the Great Desolation Chi in the Grand Supreme Immortal City. On the continent there were mountains, rivers and ancient trees. It was full of vitality. There were even many heavenly treasures growing in the mountains. Ancient trees and spirit herbs were everywhere. However, other than that, Lu Ming didn't see any other living beings. There was no living being on this continent, not even a mosquito. Treasure, it's really a treasure. If I cultivate here, my cultivation level will definitely improve by leaps and bounds. However, it's not very useful to me. Lu Ming thought. The Great Desolation Ring was definitely a rare treasure. If he let other people cultivate here, their cultivation speed would definitely increase rapidly. The manifestation realm was too good. It really seemed like the Great Desolation Continent of the previous epoch. However, that was only for those below the Divine Master Realm. It was not very useful for those above the Divine Master Realm. No, it might not be useless to me. Suddenly, Lu Ming had a flash of inspiration. The second secret technique that he comprehended, the Great Desolation Style, was based on the Great Desolation Continent. When executed, it would form a Great Desolation Continent to suppress the enemy. However, that Great Desolation Continent was only Lu Ming's imagination. Hence, the Great Desolation Continent that he formed lacked spirituality. The mountains and rivers on it were also blurry. If the continent in the Great Desolation Ring was really made from the fragments of the Great Desolation Continent, Lu Ming could use the Great Desolation Ring as a template to continue comprehending the Great Desolation Style and perfect it. He could make the Great Desolation Style continuously stronger. Could this be the reason why the life spirit of the Heavenly Court left the Great Desolation Ring to Lu Ming? The life spirit had taken away the other 3 great treasures of the Heavenly Court, but it had left the Great Desolation Ring to Lu Ming. It was not unreasonable. The continent in the Great Desolation Ring was completely different from the floating continent fragments in the universe ruins. Although Myriad God also had the ability to open wormholes, it was still inferior to an expert like the Spacetime Spirit Mouse. The Myriad God's ability to open wormholes was inherited from a certain primordial god. He was not very proficient in it and he was not very good at it to begin with. In the universe, Spacetime Spirit Mice are very useful. I really don't know if the Heavenly Palace has lost their minds. Why would they attack Spacetime Spirit Mice? Myriad God's Tao. He might not have lost his mind. It might have been premeditated. Lu Ming said. Oh, what do you mean? Myriad God's eyes flickered. The Spacetime Spirit Mouse race has long intended to join the Heaven Destroyer. Perhaps the Heavenly Palace has already heard some rumors. It's good that the Spacetime Spirit Mice can be used by themselves, but once they join the enemy, it will be a disaster. The Heavenly Palace is probably looking for a reason to get rid of the spacetime spirit mice to prevent future trouble. Lu Ming analyzed. Myriad God and the others nodded. Perhaps this was the reason. Dandan, Bubbles? Suddenly Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he saw Dandan and Bubbles flying out of the wormhole. Lu Ming finally felt relieved. He was relieved that Dandan and Bubbles were fine. Lu Ming. Big brother Lu Ming. Dandan and Bubbles also noticed Lu Ming and the others and quickly flew over. Lu Ming, something big has happened, Dandan shouted as soon as he arrived. I know that you are being hunted down by the Heavenly Palace. Fortunately you are fine. Lu Ming smiled. It's not us, it's the elf race, Dandan said. What? The elf race? Lu Ming's heart suddenly trembled. He had a bad premonition. Could it be that the Heavenly Palace also attacked the elf race? We received news that the Heavenly Palace sent an army to kill the elf race. They want to eliminate the elf race from the universe, Dandan said. Lu Ming's expression was extremely ugly. He asked, how is the elf race now? When we received the news it was already too late. It is said that the elf race's mother planet has been breached. Countless elves have been killed. I'm afraid the destruction of the elf race is inevitable. Dandan sighed. Lu Ming's heart sank. He thought of how he had interrogated the celestial race in the Life Spirit Heavenly Court if he had seen Ling Yue. The people of the celestial race all said that they had not seen Ling Yue. Lu Ming had guessed at that time that perhaps Ling Yue had not gone to the Life Spirit Heavenly Court and had been delayed by something. From the looks of it, it was very likely that it was because of the Heavenly Palace's invasion of the elf race. The Heavenly Palace had attacked the elf race. Even if the Life Spirit Origin Stone fragment had undergone a mutation and flown away by itself, Ling Yue probably wouldn't have the mood to care about it. Then how was Ling Yue now? Lu Ming took a deep breath, calmed himself down and asked, do you guys have any news about the elf princess Ling Yue? No, it is said that the star fields where the elf race is located are in complete chaos. There are experts from the Heavenly Palace hunting the elf race everywhere. Fei Huang and some seniors of our two races have already rushed to the elf race. They want to save a portion of the elf race and bring them to the universe ruins. However, it is hard to say how many elves they can save. Dandan said. Dandan, Bubbles, you guys can stay here and have a good rest. I still have things to do so I won't entertain you guys. With that, Lu Ming turned around and left. Lu Ming, I'll go with you. Young master, wait for me. Xian Yanqing and Autumn Moon called out one after another, following closely behind Lu Ming. They were very clear about Lu Ming's thoughts. They naturally knew that Lu Ming wanted to go to the elf race's star field alone to look for Ling Yue. That's right, Lu Ming. Let's go together so that we can take care of each other. Myriad God also walked over. Big brother Lu Ming, bring me along. Bubbles also flew over. No, you guys can't go. Stay here. Lu Ming's face darkened as he said. Right now, they were all thorns in the eyes of the Heavenly Palace, and the star fields where the elf race was located were filled with experts from the Heavenly Palace. Once they went over and were discovered by the Heavenly Palace, they would definitely be hunted down and killed. It would be extremely dangerous. Lu Ming didn't want Xian Yanqing and the others to take the risk with him. However, he had to make this trip. He had to find Ling Yue regardless of life or death. He had owed Ling Yue too much. It could be said that a large part of the reason why the elf race had encountered such a calamity was because of him. If it wasn't for the fact that he was pretending to be Ling Yue's fiancé, the elf race wouldn't have been so close to him, and wouldn't have been hated by the celestial race. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.